right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Great Lakes Formula Drift Pro-Am Series. Before we get this top 32 and introductions kicked off, I would now ask that everybody please stand and take off your hats and observe the flags here on the far side of the track as we play the Canadian and United States national anthems. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to start off with some driver introductions. First up, from Oak Harbor, Ohio, piloting the 2003 LS9 Nissan 350Z, driver number 480, sponsored by FabMac, Wilder Drift, Lake Erie Speedway, Kong Performance, Wagner Automotive, Extreme Graphics, and Koenig Wheels, and your last night's winner of round one, Alan Boss. All right, next up we have coming from Charlottetown, Michigan, piloting the Coyote-powered S197 Mustang, driver number 143, self-represented, Jeff Clark. And next up, we have from Silver Creek, New York, in the 2003 Supercharged Mustang GT, driver number 007, sponsored by Synergy Race Development, Dylan Weber. And next, coming from Buffalo, New York, in that 414 cubic inch LS powered E46, driver number 524, sponsored by We Care, Home Care, Good Giveaway Squad, Big Indian Drift Pit, Henry Donahue. And next up, we have from Fall River, Massachusetts, and that very unique Turbo K24 powered BMW 330, driver number 003, sponsored by Drift New England ISC Suspension Limiter Glove Company, Advanced Clutch Technology, Josh Dennis. And next from Gobles, Michigan, in the Coyote-powered S550 Mustang, driver number 207, sponsored by Hometown Collision, Nick Johnson. And next from Toronto, Ontario, with the Stroker LS3 Corvette, driver number 004, sponsored by FabMac and FDF, Canada's own Andrew Shorkey. And next from Quebec, Canada, in the SR20 DET-powered S14, driver number 021, sponsored by Lassard, Chevrolet, and Buick, Blast Performance, and the White Pixel, Maxime Cyrene. I hope that's... Next up from Diamond-Dale, Michigan, in the 2JZ-powered 240 SX, driver number 088, self-represented Mo Alderman. And next up from Chicago, Illinois, in that 1.8-liter turbo Miata, driver number 333, sponsored by Redline Oil and RGR Design, Chris Fosnocht. Next up from Laconia, New Hampshire, in the 5.3 V8-powered turbo CTS, driver number 707, sponsored by Lucier Motorworks, Fuel Labs, and Drift the East, Eli Lucier. And next up from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, in the N54 powered BMW, driver number 024, sponsored by Distinct Drift, Steve DeVitis. And next up from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, in that 1JZ S14, driver number 109, sponsored by Distinct Drift, ACT Clutches, XXR Wheels, Fortune Auto, and Huey Brothers, your defending champion, Troy Manners. And next from Lowbanks, Ontario, in the LS Supercharged E46 BMW, driver number 046, sponsored by Tint Addicts, Luke's Luxury Details, Ryan Mucci. And next from Hemlock, New York, in that 358 small block Chevy E36, driver number 487, sponsored by Durale, ISS Pro, Marion M. Decker, Open Fender Racing for a Cure, Tribodyne Racing Lubricants, Schwarzcraft, Dirt and Beyond, Retro Motorsports, Prop Productions, Admin Media, Nathan Cell Photography, and 454 Media, Jake Schustster. Up next, we have from Silver Creek, New York, and that turbo E36 BMW, Fred Mayabbach. Up next in the 2002 E46 LS3 BMW, driver number 012, sponsored by 11 Tenths Motorsports, Porter's Performance, and Brady's Bakery, Paul Robinson. Up next from Toronto, Ontario, in that VR6 powered Audi RS5, driver number 711, sponsored by TSH Auto, FCP Euro, Liqui-Moly, and DND Performance, Andriy Musienko. And next up from Northeast Pennsylvania in the M50 Turbo E46 BMW, driver number 219, sponsored by Land Glide app, Report All, LGE Coachworks, and Team Dirty Work, Colin Gillespie. And next up, hailing from Sandusky, Ohio, in the Nissan 370Z, driver number 099, sponsored by Yeetworks, Brendan Gibson Freley. And next up from Salem, Ohio, in the 454 LS7 powered Corvette, driver number 033, sponsored by Lingenfelder Performance Engineering, Stratton Chevrolet, Fortune Auto, FDF Race Shop, True Fiber, Oracle Lighting, and Valino Tire, Dirk Stratton. Next from Elira, Ohio, in the 370Z Turbo, driver number 013, sponsored by 2HP Media, Continental Performance, Oddball Motorworks, VPF Performance, Theon Nelson. Up next from Colchester, Connecticut, in that 2006 5.2 Voodoo-powered Mustang, driver number 020, sponsored by Paragon Pro, Redline Oil, Gen Sport, Advanced Clutch Technology, Fuel Injector Clinic, and Fuel Suspension, Eric Kanunowicz. Up next from Mansfield, Ohio, in that Turbo LS Nissan 240, driver number 018, sponsored by Optima Batteries, IRB Speed, Custom Trends, and Hawk Performance, Blake Doge. And now from Fremont, Ohio, in the 7-liter LS 350Z, driver number 069, sponsored by FabMac Industries, Wilder Drift and Race Treads, Casey Rodriguez. And now the local boy from Erie, Pennsylvania, in his 5.3 swapped LS Nissan 240, driver number 096, sponsored by Pizza Boy Metalworks, Poor Richards Cuts, Bruno's Creative Solutions, LLC, A-Rod Speed Shop, The Mad Lad, Solo Garage, No Name Performance, and Team Vacation, Ben Bruno. From Canton, Ohio, in the 4.8-liter LS 240, driver number 011, sponsored by Major League Tire, CB Glass, Evolution Transport, Adam Bergener. And now from Vermilion, Ohio, in the LS3 powered Mazda RX-8, driver number 008, self-represented Nick Yanucci. Up next from Fredonia, New York, in the LS3 powered Subaru BRZ. Driver number 911, sponsored by Race Lab Industries, Tom Snyder. And now from Waterford, Ontario, in the 1993 6.2 LS3 powered 240. Driver number 077, sponsored by R-Rex Performance, FabMac Industries, True North Tire, BMS Tuning, and Clean Addicts, Bradley Powell. Up next from Carrollton, Ohio, in his LS-swapped E36, driver number 036, self-represented, Andrew Faulk. And finally, from North Collins, New York, in his 2009 LS2-powered BMW, driver number 247, sponsored by Grip Royal and LS E9X, Joshua Leatherbarrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we get these cars off the track and we get set up to go, just give you a quick rundown of what this is all about. This is formerly round 2 of the Great Lakes Formula Drift Pro-Am Series, brought to you by Pro Waste Services, Distinct Drift, and Formula Drift as well. These guys are competing today for a $5,000 purse, $2,500 for second, $1,250 for third, $7 for fourth, $350 for fifth, $350 for sixth, seventh, and eighth, $125 for 9th and 10th. As well as all that money on the board for the single evening, there will be a full series points fund that will be first place gets to walk away with $2,500, a Formula Drift Pro Spec license, a Link Pro Spec ECU, and a Velocita driver's suit. Second will get $1,250, third $750, fourth and fifth with $500. There is 4 rounds in total. We completed round 1 this morning after some weather came in last night and we had to postpone it. As of now, we are starting round 2. We are going to have a full 32-car bracket, battles all night as we suss out who will win round 2. And you can see there the graphic on the screen. Alan Boss and Jeff Clark will be your first battle of the evening. You can see there on screen the full paddock layout. There is a lot of drivers here today, a lot of support for these drivers down there in the pits with them, and it's it's a whole family event. I know I was talking to Dirk Stratton earlier. He said his whole family and extended family is here supporting him today, which just really nice to see the whole family come out and really put on for their people here.
Yeah, I was working near the chute last night, and there's a bunch of guys had their wives and kids out there cheering for them. The whole crew. It's cool. It's a good family event, good environment.
Yeah, and you can see there from your screen just how much goes into this. I mean, you have everything from haulers to open trailers and everything in between, full rigs through basically whatever you can get to the track. And can't thank these guys enough for coming out and really putting on a show for you and competing out here and really kind of bringing the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series into the limelight. And hopefully this thing really kind of takes off. I know we've had great success in the past couple of years, and moving forward it seems to be only getting bigger. So absolutely thrilled to be out here today.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out too to all the staff that helps make this Pro-Am happen. You got Spencer out there striping the track, Sean's out there flagging, you got Brian working the start line, all the judges up here, AJ, DJ, Matt, Scott, Dave. It's a real group effort to make this happen. Everyone does a lot to try to keep it running smoothly.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, we have, I would say, one of the best live streams for any, I guess, Pro-Am series around, and can't help but thank Prop Productions enough for putting all that together. And Rob over there is an absolutely phenomenal guy. He works really hard to do this, and I mean, look at the graph, look at the screen right now. I mean, you're not going to get a shot like that anywhere else. So, absolutely thrilled to be out here with all these guys as we get these first two competitors up. We are going to have Alan Boss and Jeff Clark.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. I had a pretty good wreck on initiation between these two drivers, so hopefully there's no bad blood animosity that carried over from that. I don't think there is. They're both good guys, but hopefully they'll have some good clean runs tonight.
Yeah, and Alan Boss, I hate to say it, but you got to be a little bit careful with that car. He's got, 2 weeks until he's got to be at a pro spec round, so I love to see him out here. I did hear earlier that Alan is actually on a substantially smaller tire than is required. He's on a 235 today. So kind of eager to see how that plays out for him here. I know that car is definitely set up to have a whole bunch of grip under it. And you can see the lights there are on, and these cars are good to go as they leave the line. Quite a big horsepower difference here between these two cars. You see Alan throw it into that first outer zone, and he definitely has a tire in it. Jeff Clark overcooks it and goes into the back of the Z. And I might have jinxed it there. I said Alan's got to be careful with the car, and immediately gets hit there on initiation. So hopefully everything's good. It looks like Alan's car might be leaning a little bit there to the back, so might not be okay, as you can see him crab walking off a little bit there to get back to the pits. And I'm sure he's not happy about that. That was completely not his fault. Jeff Clark just maybe trying to make up for that horsepower deficit and getting a little bit overzealous there on entry.
Yeah, it looks like Alan bent a tow arm on the passenger rear there. So I see it looks like he's calling his timeout right here. Luckily, Z's, it's not too bad to change a tow arm. Hopefully that's all it is. You get that swapped out real quick and get back out there. It's a little rough to take the timeout this early in the night, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you really hope that your first battle isn't the one that you end up sweating laying on the ground trying to get something fixed. But, that's the way it goes, and here we are. And we'll let Alan Boss take a look at that, see if he can get it fixed. And then when he comes back out, hopefully we get to see the second half of that. And obviously if he does come back out, Alan's going to be at a severe advantage from what I saw there. And Jeff Clark definitely going to have the work cut out for him. All right, and you can see there coming up on the screen, that is Alan Boss there last night. His mom comes out here to every single event. She is his biggest supporter. She is spotting for him today, and I just cannot express enough how cool it is to see them both out here, and she is just the nicest lady every time you talk to her. And Alan, one of the nicest guys out there on grid. He would do anything for anybody, and hopefully he gets his stuff back together so we can see him. And I mean, what a cool picture. You can see the burnout there as he is celebrating his win last night. I mean, what else can you really say? You can see there Andre Musienko leading the way for Alan Boss. Alan Boss being a professional driver in the Formula Drift Pro Spec Series. No stranger to adversity from what we've all seen.
And lined up right now is a battle I think we've all been waiting for tonight. We got Dylan, Weber Valley Speedway versus Henry Donahue. We're hopefully there's no sandbagging tonight. We'll get some good clean runs and set this internet beef to, well, yeah.
All right, Dylan Weber going to lead the way here into turn one. You can see the nice weight transfer initiation, a little bit of a straight line. Henry Donahue putting into the back quarter of the Mustang, getting a little bit aggressive there on entry, but you can see Weber making it all the way out to that second outside zone. He is unfazed there in the lead. Henry Donahue driving with a cause tonight, pushing in the side of that Mustang as they make it to outside 3. And Dylan Weber filling it all the way out. Looks like Donahue maybe cutting the line a little bit, trying to get up to the side of that Mustang, inevitably not quite closing the gap.
Yeah, we got that big 400-plus cubic inch LS versus the 289 Ford. Straight axle versus IRS. We're two totally different setups here. They're out here swinging at each other. I love it.
Yeah, and you have the naturally aspirated torque of that LS and the supercharged power of that Mustang underneath the hood of Weber's car. And you can see there on the replay, Weber not making a whole lot of smoke, but he is on the line where he needs to be. And Donahue definitely trying to make up some ground here as they come through the middle. You can see that line gets a little bit cut, just trying to make up some proximity, but Weber able to keep him at bay.
Fun little fact about Dylan's car, he's got some spare doors on there that got signatures for everyone that put a tire on it. So maybe Henry could sign it after that little contact they had in OZ1.
All right, and Henry Donahue going to get the chance to lead the way here. Straight line initiation, a little bit of a handbrake pull there. Doesn't quite get out to that first zone, but he gets into the immediate beginning of the second. Weber, less than a car between the two as he's staying nice and close to the side of that E46 all the way around outside 2 through inner clip 1 now as they make it to outer zone number 2. Dylan Weber not letting Donahue run away with it.
Solid battle between those two. It's we were all hoping to see. You know, Dylan staying right there. Henry was on him pretty good. We'll see what the judges have to say.
And you can see there on the replay, Henry Donahue asking us to mention a couple more sponsors for him. Nicholas Hep Machine Shop, NRG Innovation, Goon Squad giveaways. And you can see here in the replay, Dylan Weber in that outside zone number 2, keeping a car, maybe a little bit of a 2-car gap there coming out of outer 2 into inner 1. And as they transition here, you can see Dylan taking a little bit of liberty there with that transition to get up next to the E46. I'd like to see how the judges look at that. All right, and you can see there on screen, Dylan Weber will be moving forward. All right, you can see there on screen, Nick Johnson going to pull back into the pits here. Josh Dennis, his competitor, has called his competition timeout. So we will be waiting for Josh to try to get his car back in order, and then we will see them on track here a little bit later.
And next up, looks like we got an all-Canada battle here. We got the LS-powered C5 Corvette and that big turbo SR20 S14.
Yeah, now this is kind of a tale of two worlds here. We all know Andrew Shorkey is down for war in that Corvette. Got a chance to talk to Maxime a little bit in the tech barn when he showed up this morning and got to see that car, and that thing is astonishing under the hood. It is so clean, everything on it. And we all know that Shorkey's car, it looks a little battered, but man, does that thing run. It has seen everything from here to Canada all the way down to East 10 Drift and all over the country. All right, it looks like Shorkey is going to be up first to lead Maxime in that very bright 240. All right, and they have left the line. Maxime taking his liberties there, leaving a little bit early. Shorkey does the weight transfer and kind of noses into the side of Maxime's car. Maxime, it kind of gives him a little bit of a disadvantage. Shorkey managed to open up a gap there as they come into outer zone number 2. Smoke just pouring off the back of these cars. No shortage of horsepower on track right now as Shorkey finishes out the run. Fantastic job in that final outside zone. Maxime just trying to make up some ground there. All right, we'll see there on this replay. This initiation a little weird. I mean, Shorkey's been doing that weight transfer all day, really. I was watching him practice, but Maxime maybe just getting a little bit too close there and ends up kind of getting choked out on initiation. So we will see how he answers back as he now gets to lead the way for Shorkey. Shorkey is I would say an aggressive, to say the least, chase driver. Every time he gets the chance, might as well be a championship battle for him.
Yeah, I had the pleasure, I believe it was a top 4 battle with Shorkey last year, one of the rounds, and man, he doored me through the whole last outer zone. It was a good battle, but he is definitely aggressive.
All right, the lights are off, and they will leave the line here as Maxime will lead the way. Just a little handbrake pull, straight line initiation, but he fills all of outside zone number 1 as the smoke pouring off the back of that 240 as they're into outside 2. Andrew Shorkey getting right up tight to the side of the 240 all the way through outside zone number 2 through the inner clip. Shorkey giving a little bit of room just for transition. He dives through the smoke, and now finishing off there, Maxime on a fantastic line through that final outer zone, maybe a 1-car gap between the two. And you can see the bumper there coming off the back of that 240.
Man, that little 2-liter Nissan motor is rolling smoke off the tires. I don't think I've ever seen an SR20 make smoke like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I'd really like to know what kind of power that thing is putting down because, man, when he gets on it, it is rolling smoke out of the back of that car. Yeah, you can see there on that replay, Shorkey just kind of nosing his way in. I assume that his spotter has told him that he's at a little bit of an advantage, so he's probably not trying to get right on the door and cause himself into a weird situation that you can see diving through the smoke. I feel like that's going to be an issue moving forward in these battles. There's a lot of high horsepower cars out here today, and as they come through the middle, it is going to get very smoky. And you can see there on the screen, Andrew Shorkey will take the win over Maxime. But as I was saying shortly before that this middle section coming from inner 1 to outer 3 is going to be very smoky, and you're going to have to just kind of commit and dive through the smoke and hope that everything kind of pans out the way you want. And, you know, there's a Jersey barrier there, so if it's going wrong for the lead driver, it's going wrong for you too, and you just have to commit and pray.
Yeah, watch him practice earlier from the grandstand side. That when those cars come through that inner clip, I mean, you can't even see the chase car until they pop out of the smoke, and it's tough to drive in that situation. You got to have a lot of faith in the guy in front of you.
You can see there on screen Nick Johnson in the S550 Mustang going to go against Josh Dennis in that K24 powered E46. This will be an interesting battle. I believe their horsepower numbers are actually probably pretty close, but it's the way they put it down. V8 power versus turbo 4-cylinder is kind of a strange thing. All All right, you can see there Brian Reichert giving the thumbs up to the drivers, making sure everyone's good to go as the lights go out. They will leave the line with Nick Johnson leading the way. A little bit of a slow initiation here, but big weight transfer from that Mustang, and then does not make it out to that first zone. And you can hear Dennis behind him just laying on the limiter, making up some ground there as they make it through outer zone number 2 into that inner clip. Smoke pouring off the back of the Mustang, and Josh beating on the K24, trying to make up some ground there through the center. Coming through that final zone, Nick Johnson pretty shallow. I don't think he actually made it out to that zone, but Dennis behind him managing the line well and staying where he needs to be in chase. You can see here on the replay, I really want to, bit curious to see if Dennis, or if Nick actually makes it out to that zone. It doesn't look like he ultimately does, just getting a little bit shallow there coming through that final outside zone. All right, and Dennis will now lead the way for Nick Johnson. This K24 powered BMW is very fast, and you can see it there as he opens up a 2 to 3 car gap there down the first straight. And it looks like Nick behind him in the Mustang struggling to get to angle, and then maybe has to catch it a little bit to prevent some over rotation. But Dennis doing a very good job in the lead, filling all of outside zone number 2. Doesn't quite get to that inner clip as they come now to the final outside zone. And I don't think that Dennis actually made into that final outside zone 2. So both of these guys kind of on a shallower line, but chase drivers managing it well, maintaining line and angle there to match the lead. We will see what the judges have to say about it here in a moment. All right, as we take a look at this replay here to see what transpired between these two cars, you can see Dennis with a good initiation there, but it seems like Nick maybe just doesn't get the car to angle, and then once it does, it kind of snap rotates on him, and he has to catch it, causing him a lot of speed and opening up a pretty big gap there coming into outside zone number 2. And you can see there Josh Dennis will be moving on over Nick Johnson.
So while we're waiting for Alan Boss and Jeff Clark to line up here, waiting for a call on the Josh Dennis battle, I'd like to introduce a little guest spot we got here, the People's Champ of Limp Brisket Drift Team. You've had his smoked bologna, his burnt ends, the brisket, the man, the myth, the legend, Taylor Braun.
What up, what up, what up? What's poppin', Lake Erie? What a beautiful day, unlike yesterday. Well, man, that was hot garbage yesterday, man. This is great. This is amazing.
Yeah, and I haven't got the chance to talk to Taylor yet, but always the wordsmith, the most American man alive.
You know, I've been, called a few things, silver tongue devil, I can spin a yarn, Hey, what do you want to say?
Taylor drove his T-top 3rd Gen Trans Am here today to drive the jam session later tonight. Looking forward to that.
All right, we can see here Jeff Clark going to lead the way. Straight line initiation, but very shallow. Doesn't end up making it out to that first zone. Alan Boss behind him with a whole bunch of angle in that car, but he stands on it, catches the over rotation, and keeps it in line as he's starting to make up some ground now on the Mustang of Jeff Clark. They come through the middle. Alan Boss getting real nice and close, but he knows he's at a big advantage here, so there's no reason to get too close and end up doing some damage you don't need to be dealing with.
Yeah, that first transition from Alan there, I'm almost wondering if he was still having maybe some issues from that contact earlier. Car looked like it over-rotated and got away from him a little bit there.
Yeah, this would be one of those where, now that you're in the chase position, you just kind of got to go A to B, keep it close, be in the conversation, and that might be all it takes.
Yeah, there is kind of an interesting rule in drifting if you're not familiar with the rule book. That is, even if you are at a severe advantage, if you have not chased yet and you begin your chase and you leave what would be considered an inactive amount of gap between the two, you're not actually reacting to the chase or to the lead car, you can be zeroed for an inactive chase. However, I don't feel like that's the case. As you can see on the screen, Alan Boss will be moving forward. So Taylor Braun, tell me about this T-Tops.
Well, it's actually Trans Mam, Happy Pride Month. Let's try and be inclusive here. But she's a real peach, beautiful 1985, the proper amount of backfield patina, just a real beauty white trash automobile, if I do say so myself.
Oh, Taylor, if I remember correctly, you had a pretty bad mice issue with that earlier in the season after it sat in the field all winter.
Boy, that's an understatement, let me tell you. But we can touch on that after this battle here. We got Mo leading. Big feint entry, very nice. Little shallow coming into one. Setting up nice for outer two. Gets in there pretty well. Laying on the throttle, just running that thing around. Fills all at two. Looks like he nails that inner clip pretty well. Let's see how he sets up for outer three. And textbook. We expect nothing less from Mo. Just sets up and lets it rip.
And you can see there in the chase exactly what we were talking about earlier. Chris getting stuck in the smoke there coming from outer zone 1 through that inner clip and not able to actually transition into outer 3 because the car was completely covered in smoke. You could not tell there was a Miata behind Mo there.
And I'll tell you what, Mo's been on one this weekend. I battled him at least once last year. And to not take anything away from him, he's a good driver, but from last year to this year, he has cranked it up. Car's got a new livery on it, looks good, and the driving matches.
Yeah, you can see there on the replay, absolutely no exaggeration. There was no Miata in the screen there until it popped out. And at that point, you're either fully committed to making that next transition or you have to stop. And if you're committed and it's not going in your favor, your only finality to that situation is to either make it through that zone or you're going to eat a Jersey barrier, and that's not where you want to end your evening.
No, it's a pretty terrifying situation to be in. Someone who's competed in this series and been, pretty underpowered at times. You're kind of just trying to pick reference points on the exterior of the track to say, like, oh, I think I need to transition at this light pole. But, at times you're just taking a stab in the dark.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this half of the battle plays out because Mo's car obviously quite a bit more powerful, quite a bit faster than that little Miata. But Chris, no slouch. I would say almost a better initiation there, getting all the way through that first zone. And you can see there on that transition, just a little over rotation. He does catch it, not a full spin, but that will ultimately end the run there.
Man, and that's so easy to do in Miatas. I've driven a handful of them, and that short wheelbase, they're snappy, and they get away from you quick.
Yeah, and I was helping the guys out with some tech over in the barn this morning, and I happened to notice that Chris was over there doing some welding, so not really sure if he maybe had some mechanical issues last night and it was something that was controlling suspension but just that snap oversteer through transition that only a Miata and a couple other very small cars can do. And if you're not accustomed to it, or maybe, it catches out even the best drivers once in a while.
It seems like, I've never driven a Miata, but they seem like they're so challenging to drive hard and drive well. They're just so twitchy, and for the most part, relatively underpowered. It's you drive those things flat out and just hope for the best.
All right, you can see there on the screen, Mo Alderman will be moving forward in a unanimous decision. And yeah, like Taylor was saying there, any small wheelbase car, it makes it more difficult to manage angle, and especially through transition, because you don't really understand the amount of G-force that's moving through these cars whenever you go from one direction into the next. And if you have a very small wheelbase car and everything's very close to the center of gravity, sometimes it just goes and you're along for the ride. And I think that's what happened to Chris there. You can see here on screen, Eli Lucier going to lead Steve Ditis. Big power turbo 5.3 under the hood of that Cadillac, being chased by the N54 turbo and the E90 of Steve Ditis. as they make their way into that second outside zone. I know that Eli said he was having some transmission issues, but he doesn't seem to be having any issues now as he gets through that center section into the final outside zone. Steve Ditis doing a really good job there behind him, kind of nosing in and backing up a little bit. Don't want to get too aggressive this early in the bracket and end up causing some damage, but very good job there from both drivers.
Yeah, it's good to see both these cars out here. I know, like you said, Eli was having some transmission problems. I know Steve took a 5-minute timeout in the middle, or sorry, 6-minute timeout in the middle of the battle last night. And I saw his car up on jack stands for a while this morning, so I think they were both battling some mechanical issues, but they're both looking strong right now.
Yeah, I got confirmation Eli's car actually has no third gear, so he's just 1, 2, and going for it. And Steve Ditis, like Moncalian said there, actually broke a diff bolt, I believe, and a cross brace that holds his diff up. So he was in a mad rush this morning to get that all put back together and patched up, and it seems like it's working well. I mean, last night they said that he was having issues with his diff was tilting so much in the subframe of that car, it was wearing a hole in the floor. So good to see him out here again. Everything seems to be working right. Big weight transfer there into that first outer zone. Eli Lucier matching angle beautifully there as they transition into outside zone number 2. Steve may be pulling a little bit of a gap, and you can see the left foot brake there just to kind of get the car to rotate here to make it that inner clip number 1. And now into that final outside zone, big handbrake pull, trying to pull some speed out of the car there for Steve. Lets Eli get up real nice and close there at the end of the run. It's a very good job from both these guys on both sides of the battle. Especially, I mean, talk about two greatly different cars, and that Cadillac, man, that's a lot of car to throw around, especially going against something tried and true like a BMW chassis that's notoriously good for drifting.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, long wheelbase, very big car, you know, driving very smooth. But does anyone know, is he still running like a traditional like T56, I would assume, that probably came in that car? Or is he in the Cadillac, yeah?
The Cadillac actually has like a Dale Earnhardt era 4-speed clutchless in it.
Oh, God bless America, baby. That's music to my ears.
Yeah, which sounds really cool until third gear explodes, and now I don't know how you fix that transmission, but he didn't seem too upset about it today, so he must have his methods.
They're actually pretty similar to like what like a lot of dog box 4-speeds are built out of now. It's very, very similar architecture. That's kind of where all the dog boxes derive from. It was just, you know, like old M22 or Super T10 4-speeds, so should still be able to get parts for that thing.
Yeah, while we're waiting for the call here from the judges, I see we got Troy Manners lined up. Oh, I'll turn it over to Zach for a second here.
And you can see there on screen, Steve Ditis going to move forward over Eli Lucier. Very close battle between those two. We love to see it. Nice tight tandems. It's going to be getting much more aggressive, I'm assuming, as the night moves on.
Yeah, so as I was saying, on the line, we got Troy Manners. He is our defending Great Lakes Pro-Am champ from last year. I believe he was also a former Pro Spec competitor, so he is no stranger to competition drifting like this.
Yeah, and something to be said about Troy Manners. He has been in a very similar chassis, I believe, for his entire drifting career. So very experienced behind the wheel of an S chassis. It definitely won with a JZ power plant. And you can see just how confident he is with that initiation all the way through that first outside zone. The BMW cutting a little bit of line there, trying to make up some gap, getting lost in the smoke there behind Troy coming through outer 2. Troy does a beautiful job getting from outer 2 to that inner clip now as he moves to outer 3, sitting it right on the jersey barriers to finish off his run. Troy's car, I cannot state enough just how fast that thing is in drift. It makes so much grip, and I know that there's always more in it, or at least it seems like it. Every time you think Troy's just maybe a little bit behind pace, something changes, and man, he picks up like 15, 20 miles an hour everywhere.
Yeah, and that battle there goes to show you how important your start is leaving the line. Troy really stretched it out on that E46 and just was playing catch up the whole run there and bobbling, and yeah, it was tough. You got to get a good start off the line and stay close to that lead driver when you're in the chase.
Yeah, really interested to see what happens here as we turn this battle around. Troy Manners now going to be in the chase. I know that Troy is extremely capable in chase. He is very, very aggressive when he needs to be. But is this one of those situations that he is going to be right up there on that E46? And you can see now as they leave the line, smoke rolling off the back of the E46. He spins the tires all the way down to initiation. Troy initiating a little bit late, maybe a 2 or 3 car gap there. As you can see, the smoke rolling off the back of the BMW, but Troy stands on it, makes up all that ground in a single turn. Troy, no stranger to big smoke, big power cars, makes his way right through that smoke line and right back to the side of the E46 to finish it off.
Yeah, I'd imagine Troy's spotter was probably in his ear, letting him know, like, hey, just complete it, go A to B, and be close, but not too close. Because like you said earlier, Zach, it's too early in the bracket to be diving in, running doors, and potentially take yourself out. Sometimes drifting is just a war of attrition. You got to survive. In order to finish first you must finish.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those things where, you always have a spotter in your ear that you hope is kind of your voice of reason. They hope they saw everything accurately and correctly, and you really have to trust the person up here in the stands with the mic on telling you, take it easy, definitely don't lay down, but, don't burn the doors down on this one. Just stay where you need to be, run a nice, clean line. And you can see there, Troy did exactly that. He stayed right where he needed to be. All right, and it will indeed go to Troy Manners, our defending champ from last year. Will be moving on in this top 32 bracket.
And this next battle here is one I'm excited for. Jake Schustster, Fred Mayabbach, two of the nicest dudes you'll meet in the pits. Jake struggled in the past with some BMW power plants. He's got a stock car carbureted V8 in this thing, and he was ripping last night. And Fred, super consistent. Well, this is going to be a fun battle to watch.
Yeah. Make America carbureted again, people.
Two similar cars, but two very, very different cars in the same exact breath here. Jake Schustster going to get the chance to lead first. You can see spinning the tires all the way from the line using all that V8 torque to initiate here. And Fred Mayabbach leaving, maybe a 1 or 2 car gap there. You can see Schustster maybe getting a tire out of the back of that zone. Fred making up some ground, though, for sure. As they do not get into that first inner clip, they come to that final outside zone. Fred, maybe a 1.5 car gap between the two. Probably not really playing it too safe just yet, but ultimately it comes down to leading first is kind of a place where you either, what do? You just have to send it and hope for the best. And as a chase driver, to chase first, do you play it safe or do you play it super aggressive so that you can maybe take it a little easier in your lead run next? But I think ultimately the best option here is to just go for it both ways.
Yeah, and Jake, he kind of threw a bit of a manji coming into the entry there. I know that was something the judges touched on in the drivers' meeting, is they just want to see at most 2 motions into that first entry. So hopefully it doesn't come back to hurt him. But he did it well. Fred followed it well. So we'll see what happens at the end of the next run here.
Yeah, it is really good to see Jake Schustster out here in a car that's, making decent power. It's going to be reliable. It's a tried and true engine. It's a small block Chevy. We all know what it is. And you can see there, Fred, absolutely perfect initiation all the way through that first zone, both tires in it all the way through. Schustster pulling up a little bit tight there, way inside of that zone. Fred, though, doing a fantastic job in lead, filling all that zone, making it to the inner clip. You can see now the transition into that final outer zone. Fred, with what I would consider to be a textbook lead run. Schustster trying what he can there to make up some ground. Fred's car also deceptively fast. It is incredible what he can do in that thing.
Yeah, Fred's leads have just been absolutely on one so far tonight. He is putting high 90s, 100-point qualifying runs down in the lead position. And a lot of times that's what you need to win is a good lead. So we'll see. Hopefully he keeps carrying that through the night. Fred or dead, baby.
You can see there on the replay, Schustster initiating very shallow on that first turn, and then ultimately that transition gets a little weird because he's way inside. And then you can see Fred pulling it all the way through that second outside zone through the inner clip as he opens up a 3 or 4 car gap there coming into the last zone. Absolutely perfect lead run by Fred. Jake Schustster just trying to make up the ground where he can there in the chase. And Fred inevitably will get the win there in a unanimous decision over Jake Schustster.
This is the level of driving we expect out of Fred at this point. He's been so consistent and knows that car so well. He could put that car anywhere he needs it to be. So, but I don't want to take anything away from Schustster. He's been fighting that car for the last year or two, and it's great to see him actually out there in the conversation, putting down the good runs, putting the car where it needs to be, and actually having something mechanically reliable that he can trust and he can lean on.
This is a very interesting battle as well. The VR6 turbo power of the RS5 of Andre Musienko being chased now by Paul Robinson, the LS E46. Absolutely phenomenal entry by both of these guys. Paul ends up getting a little bit stuck there coming through transition. See how he plays out the rest of the run. Look at the smoke coming off the back of that Audi as they come through that inner clip. Robinson going to need all the commitment, getting to that final outside zone, and he does, making up some ground there, getting back to the side of that Audi. Andre Musienko, I mean, fought so hard last night, and that car is just, I mean, it's incredible what it does with, the VR6, the turbo, and that whole outer shell of that car is all carbon Kevlar. And I would call Robinson's car a little bit of a more simplistic build, but man, he is such a good driver. He makes up for it.
Yeah, like you said there, Zach, this is like a battle of two different weight classes. You got the heavyweight of the Audi versus Paul's car. I don't know much about it, but from what I could tell, it's a pretty budget LS BMW swap. And I mean, these are two opposite ends of the spectrum, but Paul's out there swinging. That first zone, he threw it in hard. I thought he was going to stick with him and bobbled a little on that transition, but we'll see how he does in the lead.
All right, and Robinson going to lead the way here for Andre Musienko. Musienko going to have to be pretty aggressive here in the chase to make up for Robinson behind him on the first half of the battle. As they come through transition, Andre leaving maybe a 1.5 to 2 car gap there, but Robinson getting out to that second outside zone right where he needs to be. And Musienko getting right up to the door of that E46 now as they come through transition. And you can see just the amount of grip in the Audi behind him. Every time he gets on the gas there, he's just taking car lengths away from Robinson.
That car is insanely fast. Watching it last night in the big bank layout, I mean, that thing's a freight train. I mean, it is a mechanical piece of art.
Yeah, I know last night watching him come into the bank, you can hear him leave the line, and he is rowing gears, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it sounds like he's bogging the car, and then as soon as it hits boost, man, it lights it up, and it's going.
I know me and Matt were talking about that car last night. The VR6 has like a very, for those that don't know, it's a Volkswagen-based motor, but it's got a very unique architecture to the block. The way it's almost like a V engine and an inline engine kind of hybrid. It's a very unique to that engine, but I mean, it seems to work really well and make big power.
So if I could jump in here just for a second and be a nerd, the VR6 is a 15-degree V single head engine. It is the weirdest architecture you can think of, and it looks like Musienko will indeed take the win there. Very cool engine setup in that thing, and if you ever get a chance, take a Google image search of look at the block of a VR6, because the way the pistons come out of the top of that block is one of the most awkward things, but man, it works extremely well.
That's funny. That was like something me and Taylor were talking about last night there. Like you said, it's a single head, so you take the head off like a straight six, but the pistons are in a zigzag pattern. Like it's basically a blend between a V6 and a straight six. It's very interesting, and it gives them a super cool sound.
And all right, now we have Freley up front leading Colin Gillespie, and the Turbo E46 up front, I believe, is a basically completely stock 370Z. So shout out to him for coming out and putting it down in what is a relatively streetable car. And you love to see it. I mean, and he's doing extremely well. He did well last night on the bank, and you can see there, I mean, that's a very high-scoring lead run there.
I'll tell you what, Zach, you got a stock motor 350 or 370 set up well, and you could hang with the big boys if you drive it right.
I mean, Matt, you were a little bit of a giant killer in your stock power planted Z for a few years. I mean, you put that car up against some big guys and really hurt some feelings.
Yeah, that was one thing that always kind of blew our mind was Matt in the 350Z. And, I mean, this not a stripped-out car by any way, shape, or form, full cage, very well put together, whole interior painted up real nice, and then come out and just throw down in Pro-Am with what I assume used to be a 280-ish horsepower car. But, man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I never should have swapped it. My driving went way downhill when I turned that thing up.
All right, and we have Colin Gillespie now going to lead the way. Interesting to see how here that Z of Freley deals with the much higher horsepower, the E46, and the BMW chassis, specifically the E36 and 46 chassis, being a trailing arm car. Man, they make so much forward grip. So when you're on throttle in drift, they are just pulling. But you can see Freley doing a great job there in the chase, staying close all the way through that second outer zone. A little bit of a correction there to make up some ground, but ultimately suits him well, as you can see here through the final outside zone. Gillespie getting all the way out there, kicking a cone up the bank there. Freley, I mean, 1, maybe 2 car gap there to finish it off.
Yeah, and I think Freley is a newcomer to the series. Never seen that car, never heard that name before, and man, he's been driving it well.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you, too. I mean, you don't need all the horsepower in the world and, you know, an overbuilt car. If you just know your car and know how to drive it and can put it wherever it needs to be, you know, you can be out here doing this and in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic job there by Freley in the chase. And you love to see someone come out and, you know, take the chance with a relatively basic car. I know that I've talked to Colin quite a bit over the years. You know, that I've seen that car in every state, from a completely stock 330 all the way up through what it is now. I mean, crazy rear rad setup, turbo, everything, and whole bunch of power. And to see Freley come out here and just, you know, throw down, do everything he can there to make it stick and run it in. And good job on him, good job on Colin there on both sides of the battle. All right, Colin Gillespie will be moving forward there in that battle.
So if you watch right now, we got Dirk Stratton and Theon Nelson. You can see Theon staged real deep right now. It's a little strategy I use too. When you know you're lining up with a high horsepower car, you're outgunned. As a chase driver, you're allowed to jump the light a little and get a head start there where you can hang with him. And we'll see, he's real close to him on the entry here.
Yeah, Theon timed that perfectly right as Dirk lays it into outer 1 perfectly. Right into outer 2, just standing on you. I mean, you can hear that Lingenfelter vet just sing, and they're going to make the dive in, all the power, right through the inner clip perfectly, and then going to stand at it again in outer 3. I mean, that was a pretty heater lead run by Dirk Stratton there.
I mean, that's what you kind of come to expect from a caliber of driver like Dirk Stratton. They're in the lead, but Theon in the chase, I mean, absolutely fantastic job making up for the horsepower difference, utilizing that little staggered start there to try and jump the light and get some speed there off the line.
Yeah, and I'm just going to flex a little bit here for Dirk because he's such a humble guy. But that car's got a full stock dashboard in it, center console with a head unit and power windows. He rolled up at the end of the run last night, rolled the window down, and I was like, man, that is a flex right there.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Lingenfelter 454 power under the hood, you can afford the extra weight to have a stereo and AC, I guess. But, man, that car is gorgeous up close in person. I mean, the Oracle lighting, I got the chance to look at that car in Tech 2. You open the engine bay and, like, I mean, I shouldn't be allowed to touch it. You can see Theon here in the lead. Big weight transfer initiation. Not quite getting out to that zone, though, but Dirk dealing with it well there in the chase. You can hear him stomp on it, trying to make up some ground there for trying to put a bunch of angle in the car and not end up in the back of Theon Z. You can see the flames shooting out of the back of that vet as they come through that transition to that final outside zone. Theon getting out there to the wall. Dirk, though, not letting him get away at all there to finish that run.
It's a shame about that first initiation for Theon, because other than that was a really good lead. I mean, he hit the zones really well. Like I said, apart from just the initiation, that's a shame. That would have been a really good lead.
Yeah, and I mean, you hate to blame it on nerves, but, man, when you have somebody like Dirk Stratton coming in behind you, it's either going to go extremely well for you and you're going to be a hero, or, man, it's going to be something else.
Yeah, I mean, Dirk, you know, he drove Pro 1. That's the top level there is in professional drifting, and that's the same car he drove there too, so he is definitely the big dog here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's really cool to have people like that come out here. I mean, Dirk obviously hasn't really driven in the pro ranks too much lately, but, man, when you get to see that car in person and just see, like, what a pro-level car actually looks like up close, it is a spectacle for sure.
And I'll tell you what, one of the coolest things about that car is the Stratton Chevrolet on the door there. You can't see it now, but as the sun starts to set, that's a backlit livery, so that whole logo will be lit up later in the night tonight, and it's something different. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like
And
It's
Dirk
one of the coolest things
Stratton,
I've ever seen. I want my whole car like that now.
Dirk Stratton is indeed going to move forward over Theon Nelson. And, yeah, I believe that's part of that Oracle lighting package that Dirk picked up there for Formula D. And, I mean, what a sponsor to have. I mean, that's just the coolest thing. And we all know that, like, deep down in our hearts, we are style kids. We love drifting. That's kind of like where this all started, and it kind of moved on and progressed into a now competition format. And just to see things like that, and like you said, having a full interior, that's just the coolest thing to me.
And on the line, we got Eric Kanunowicz right now. And fun fact, that car's got a 5.2 Voodoo motor, which that is what would come in a modern GT350. That is a hot Ford motor right there.
Yeah, that is the flat plane crank, 9,000 RPM rev limiter.
I know Eric's been fighting transmission issues, so it looks like it jumped out of gear there, and he got it back in, and it's cruising along. But that's a shame because Eric was driving incredibly well all day yesterday, and as you can see here, once he gets it going, I mean, he's hitting all the zones, putting the car exactly where it needs to be. But I know last night they were him and his crew were fighting some major transmission issues. I think like the top cover on it is broken, and it won't stay in gear.
Yeah, last night we were sitting around the fire. It was late, man, like 1:30, 2 in the morning. And I know Eric was in the tech barn migging a shifter linkage together that really should have been TIG welded, but it was all he had at his disposal. So, I mean, he got it out here, but it looks like he's still fighting those transmission issues tonight.
Yeah, and got to take a better look at that car as they were coming through the tech barn, and man, it is so well put together. I took note while we were doing tech that every single nut and bolt on that car has a torque figure written next to it and paint marker on it, which is the most responsible thing I've ever seen in a drift tech session in my life.
That is insane to me because I don't even torque my lug nuts on my car. I just let the Milwaukee M18 eat, baby.
All right, you can see Dirk now up front. It looks like Eric probably still struggling a little bit with that trans, not able to get off the line. But he's making up ground now, maybe a little bit too much, going through the back of that zone there, and has to collect it and pull it back in as he's trying to get back to the door of Blake's 240. I mean, man, the Turbo LS under the hood of that thing has seen some life, and he's just not nice to that car. As you can see, smoke rolling out of the back of it all the way around, unfazed by what was going on there from turn 1 to turn 2. All right, you can see there on that replay that big miscalculation there by Kanunowicz coming from 1 to 2. And when you start to see a gap open up and you're in chase, you kind of try and pull a couple of tricks out of the bag, try and make up some ground there. And you can see he did exactly that, extending that transition out, coming from 1 to 2, trying to make up some ground, but ultimately not enough, as Blake will move on in this bracket.
And Blake's car, Blake looks like he's got that car hooked up. I mean, that thing is boogieing through this track. So, I mean, good driving on him, and, he did what he had to do.
Yeah, fun fact on Blake, last night he said that he was running the OSW layout in 5th gear of that car.
That's all the wheel speed.
Yeah, so Blake, no stranger to working hard behind the wheel of that car. I can only imagine. And you can see here now Casey Rodriguez going to lead the way for Yucci. Yucci shuts it down in the run-up to turn 1. Casey, though, going to run it out. Going into outer zone number 2. He gets in early, keeps a tire in it all the way through. It looks like he's going to make it look pretty up there up front. As he comes now through that inner zone, gets a tire in there right where he needs to be. Good transition here into the final outer zone. You can see the left foot brake keeping that car settled, maybe pulling some speed out of it just to stay away from that barrier as he finishes off the run. And this is kind of an eerie situation, I would think, to be in with Casey, because Yucci having to shut it down on the run-up. What do you do in the chase?
Yeah, from a driver's experience, it's tough to follow a car like that, to have the confidence to throw it in on his door and hope everything works. But looks like Nick's talking to one of the starters right now, and he may be pulling off, so we'll see if he's going to take his time out.
And, I've had the pleasure of battling Casey a couple times in Pro-Am, and that's the lead run I'd expect out of Casey Rodriguez. I mean, he knows that car like the back of his hand, and to your point, Matt, it's going to be hard for Casey to chase that because, from experience, Casey will run your door. He'll put your tire in your door. He'll put his tire in your door the whole track, and it'll be interesting to see what he's going to do when they run the second half of this battle.
Yeah, Casey Rodriguez in this series definitely making a name for himself as a very aggressive chase driver and a very consistent lead driver. I'd be ecstatic to be able to pull up next to him because you can have the confidence to do everything you need to do in the chase. He's not going to mess up. He's not going to spin out in front of you.
Yeah, this next battle here, this should be a heater. Tom Snyder, he's got that, I believe it's an LS3 BRZ. Tom's had some experience. I believe he drove Formula Drift Canada back in the day, which was similar to what Pro Spec is now. And then, is this Josh Smith, I believe, Brad Powell in the yellow S13, and that's got a Pro-charged V8 under the hood. So 2 similar power plants here. America versus U.S. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, and I was watching Brad there in practice in that car, and he seems really comfortable on this layout, which, like I said earlier, I mean, this layout is super conducive to tandem. It's all outside zones minus that one inner clip, which is really just getting a tire in there. So I'm eager to see here what happens with this Robinson-Powell battle. And you can see there Snyder, and you can see Tom there. Maybe a little bit of a weird initiation, doesn't quite get the car to angle, and then has to kind of second initiation to get it going. But once he does, man, he is filling all the zones. Powell seems relatively unfazed, getting right to the side of that BRZ, coming out of outer zone 2 through that inner clip now. Powell shuts it down. Not really sure what happened there. Maybe something mechanical, but, man, it was fixing up to be a really, really good battle there.
Yeah, this will be a little tricky for the judges to judge, too, because we'll have to look. It looked like Snyder might have initiated late, so we'll have to see kind of how that's all going to shake down. But, I mean, the car looks fast. It looks like he's got that thing really hooked up and really dialed in today.
Yeah, not really sure what happened on that initiation. Got a little bit wonky there and kind of almost had to do like a bit of a reinitiation. Went for it once and it didn't quite snap to angle, and then he had to do it again. Not really sure what happened with Powell there coming from that inner clip to the final outer zone, but big straight in there and then has to reinitiate to finish the run. Hopefully it's not something detrimentally mechanical that he now isn't going to be able to fix. But he looks like he's ready to go. He's in the chute, and we are sending cars. So Brad Powell up front, and you can see a little bit slow there to initiation, but does get the car sideways. Snyder behind him, staying right next to him all the way through that first outer zone. You can see cones flying up the bank as they come through that second outer zone now into the final. Big correction there in the chase behind Powell.
Yeah, Tom just launched that cone up the bank there, and he actually almost took out our guest announcer here, Taylor, with one of those last night.
Yeah. I was not very reactive to that. I think by the time I realized it was coming at me, it had already hit the wall next to me. So I don't know what Tom Snyder has against cones, but there's got to be some history there.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout-out to Taylor's fellow Limp Brisket family, Dan, Adriana, and Peyton Pacella. I know they're watching the live stream right now.
Got a couple little baby briskets out there watching the live stream today, I'm sure.
Yeah, speaking of family members, my wife and my kids, Jet and Evelyn, also in the stands tonight cheering us on. So thanks for everybody coming out, family, friends, everybody in between.
Yeah, the Limp Brisket boys added 3 new family members to the team in the last, month and a half?
Something like that.
All right, you can see they're on the screen getting a side-by-side replay here. Judges trying to make a delineation between what happened on these runs and see which way they intend on going here. You can see it doesn't look like towards the end of that run, Powell's car seems to be running great. I mean, smoke rolling off the back of that car all the way through that final outer zone.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure they're looking at, initiation, when they initiated, with Powell's, wow, that is a fun last name to say. Powell's straight in there in the chase, but the judges are going to dissect everything, and it's going to come down to, whose mistakes outweigh the others, or this is not a position I envy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting fun fact as I was talking to Brad while they were coming through tech, and I tried to get a couple of seconds of conversation with all these guys just to get to know them a little bit better. So while we're up here, we have some fun things to say about them. And he said that his last name is constantly mispronounced as Paw. So he went as far in competition to take a kind of comic book cutout of the Powell and use it in place of his last name on his door sticker so that people could pronounce it correctly.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
All right, you can see there the votes are in. The judges are going to slide towards Tom Snyder moving forward here over Bradley Powell.
Yeah, I would think that's probably because of his straighten in the chase. That was a pretty big deficit to have to come back from, and it's a shame because he did a great job. Oh, it looks like Powell might have broken axle just when he did that burnout there. It looked like only the passenger side rear wheel was spinning, so maybe that had something to do with the straighten in the chase.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but when he was coming to that final outside zone, I guess all the weight would have been on the tire that was spinning there. So maybe, yeah, might have broken axle, something weird. I mean, that happens all the time in drift cars. You put so much grip in these things, and factory components just can't handle it. And here we're going to have the second half of that Yucci-Casey Rodriguez battle. As they initiate, Yucci not quite getting out to that first zone. Casey giving a little bit of a gap there, just to make sure that car's probably working right. And then puts it into the side of the RX-8 as Yucci loops it there, coming from outside 1 to outside 2.
Yeah, I'm sure the judges now are going to probably take a look at it and see if, Yucci was slowing or if Casey was charging too hard in the chase, possibly. There's a couple things to dissect here because, that is a zone where you're supposed to be on throttle, accelerating. So I'm sure it didn't look super obvious to me, but I'm not a judge, that Yucci might have checked up or anything, but you never know. If Casey's anticipating him to be on throttle, accelerating through that zone, and he even blips the throttle for a second, that can cause him, to get into him a little bit there, and we'll see.
And just having a little conversation up here with the judges about the possibility of coming through braking zones. Coming from 1 to 2 as you initiate into the second outer zone, you can slow up a little bit, pull some speed out of the car, and then they want you on throttle before the beginning of that zone and maintaining it all the way through. And then you can check up just a little bit to get yourself down to that inner clip and to make your transition into outer 3. But anywhere else on the track, you should be as close to full throttle as you can possibly withstand.
Yeah, and when you're trying to drive this close and this hard with other drivers, you really have to put your faith in the other driver that he knows where he's supposed to be on throttle and where he can slow down. And as a chase driver, you're trying to anticipate that as much as you can. So you want to give him a little bit of room in the braking zone, but as soon as he gets out of that, you need to be back on throttle and reeling him in and getting in that pocket. So, we'll see.
You see there on screen, Casey Rodriguez does indeed take the win over Yucci. And, that's kind of what we've come to expect now from Casey. He's a very aggressive driver. He's very much so kind of a checkers or wreckers sort of guy. And, man, he is no stranger to adversity when it comes to drifting. He has been there, done that, seen it all. And this is a very interesting battle here because you have Adam Bergener going to lead in that 4.8-liter powered 240, and then Ben Bruno going to chase in the 5.3-liter powered 240. Very similar cars, very similar horsepower levels.
Shouting it out to our boy Benny Too Many. You guys know Ben from being the announcer all last year, and now he saw how much fun we were having and wanted to throw his hat in the ring.
Yeah, and Ben, very, very good chase driver. Eager to see what happens here. Bergener throws it into that first zone. Doesn't quite get out there. Very shallow now as they transition into outer 2. And you can see Ben left foot braking, trying to keep the car at angle, but still keep some power in it, make up some ground there on Bergener. And he does, sitting right on the back quarter of that black 240 as they come through inner clip. Now to the final outer zone. Ben leaving maybe a one-car gap there, trying to make up some ground. I would say very equal battle. So, like, if he pulls a car on you in the first zone, that's probably where you're going to live for the rest of that run. You got to be really committed and get in there and stay in there everywhere you possibly can.
Yeah, and we'll see. Adam was a little short coming out of outer two, so if Ben can throw a heater of a lead, he's not out of it just yet.
And I was watching Ben in practice, as I was watching all the guys in practice, just trying to be a spectator, maybe get a little bit of an insight to how these guys are doing on this layout. And Ben was running a very nice, wide, consistent lead run, so eager to see what he does here.
Little side note, I watched Bergener last night went to do a burnout in the chute, and axle parts went flying everywhere out the back of that car.
I forgot that was Bergener. That's right.
All right, the lights are off, and Ben going to lead the way now for Adam Bergener as they come down to this initiation straight. Ben with a little weight transfer there to a little handbrake. Doesn't quite get out to that zone, but he is deeper than Bergener there in the first outer zone. You can see Ben just a little bit of left foot brake to get the car settled there into outer zone 2 as he keeps it in all the way through now, trying to make his way to that inner clip. He does a good job getting a tire in there as they transition now to outer 3. Ben Bruno putting down a very nice lead line there for Bergener to chase, and Bergener doing exactly that behind him.
Good to see Ben's got that thing working. I mean, he had a battle last night, and he's got that thing dialed today.
I'd imagine, though, that motor has got to be pretty tired. That thing's been rode hard and put away wet for quite a few years, and Ben is not nice to that thing.
So Ben Bruno actually got that car on a dyno just a couple of weeks ago, and it is making 283 wheel horsepower. Or 318 wheel horsepower, my bad. So as far as 5.3s go, I mean, it actually seems like it's pretty healthy, which is shocking given what we've seen that thing withstand over the years.
That is way better than what I would have expected. When you said that, I was like, oh, he's going to say like 190.
That almost makes as much as Dylan Weber's Pro Charge Ford.
Ooh, Benny Too Many with the win. Look at that, unanimously.
Unanimous decision for Ben Bruno. He will be moving forward here over Adam Bergener. Super excited to see him out there. I mean, he kind of went back and forth all winter on whether or not he wanted to do this. And, he just a couple of weeks ago finally committed, bought his tickets, and here he is, and he's doing the thing. So congratulations to Ben for being out there. You can see the hand out the window, always trying to pump the crowd up. One of the biggest showmen I've ever met. Infamous for his late night end of the antics burnouts that we've all come to know and love.
Did someone say burnouts?
All right, and this coming up now is going to be Andrew Faulk leading Josh Leatherbarrow to fire off the final battle of our top 32 bracket here.
Leatherbarrow too looks like he's really got that car sorted. He's been fighting mechanical gremlins in that thing for feels like forever at this point almost, but he's been driving really good yesterday and today, and it looks like he's really got that car dialed and in a spot where he's comfortable with it now.
Yeah, that's what me and Moncallion were talking about earlier about it's finally nice to see Josh in a car that he can rely on. You can see Andrew Faulk there, a little bit of a strange initiation, doesn't quite snap right to angle there on the weight transfer, but Leatherbarrow dealing with it well there in the chase, trying to make up some ground now through outer zone 2. Faulk doing a really good job keeping 2 tires on track all the way through that second outer zone now through the inner clip, getting a tire in there as well. Now as they come to that final outside zone, Faulk maybe a little bit shallow, but Leatherbarrow trying to make up some ground there, cutting the line there between inner 2 and outer 3, or inner 1 and outer 3, my apologies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think from the way Leatherbarrow finished off that outer 3 there, he's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage going into this. He's going to have to swing for the fences on this lead, and, Faulk's going to have to, not phone it in, but, he's got to be somewhat aggressive, but he doesn't need to try and, run him down. So we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those situations where, I know that when we went to Paynesville to the Slideways showdown that Ben was competing in a month or two ago, I was actually playing spotter for him while we were there. And, man, that is a difficult job because you never really know what to tell him because you're always kind of on the outside looking in and you just kind of hope that, you're giving them the right information. But you can see here Leatherbarrow, straight line initiation, doesn't quite get into that first outer zone. Very similar line to Faulk there. And now Andrew doing the exact same thing as Leatherbarrow, but making up the ground. He is less than a car away from the side of Leatherbarrow's car. Both of them 2 tires off, basically all the way through that second outside zone, completely missing the inner clip. Cones all over the track. Faulk now has one he's taken with him as they finish off the run there.
Man, Andrew took that cone for a ride.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of double duty now, too. spotting for Dylan Weber this weekend as well, and it is hard because you're the driver's eyes and ears. You can't always see what's going on behind you as a lead driver, and you're relying on your spotter to tell you how good their chase was, what you need to do in your chase to win, and it's a little bit of a tricky job to have.
I mean, even chasing first, I mean, in a lot of situations, you're kind of just target fixate on the guy in front of you, which is not technically the right thing to do, but we've all lived that life. And what happens is, you finish off your run and you think you're good, and then your spotter chimes in and goes, hey, you guys were 3 tires off all the way through outer 2. Just put down a solid lead and you should be fine kind of situation. And as a chase driver, if you're chasing first, your only goal is to match angle in line with the guy in front of you. Nothing else is your concern other than, self-preservation if you can do it. But there you go. Andrew Faulk going to move forward over Josh Leatherbarrow. And I can't say enough about Faulk. I mean, good job on him for finally getting a car that he's comfortable and reliable in as well. And, both of these guys, you can see the hand waves out the windows. Everyone's in good spirits. And see if we can get a burnout out of Leatherbarrow to send out the top 32.
Yeah, it's cool seeing Andrew out here going through rounds. A lot of us drift pony guys have watched him grow up, really. Like, he started drifting, I don't know, he was 14, 15. He wasn't even old enough to have a license, and he had a car out here drifting. And he said it's cool to watch him grow, and he's battling with the big dogs now.
Yeah, and you can see there on screen all the drivers highlighted in yellow moving forward here out of this top 32 into 16. And we are going to take a short commercial break here at the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, sponsored by ProWay Services, Distinct Drift, Formula Drift. And you can see there on the screen that LakeErieSpeedway.com. Go over there. You can see all the events happening here at the raceway. All social media is Lake Erie Speedway, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go find it. YouTube, Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. We are live streaming right now. We will be back after a short commercial break.
Link ECU, let's get it!
We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20. Blink Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine. And then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an FA24 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's stock K24 or it's a 1,000-wheel 2J. Link ECU all day.
it's just because he talks really fucking loud. Dude, when I'm in a crowd setting, I just listen for Taylor. I don't look for him.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hope you all took that time to hit the restroom, get something to drink, get something to eat, and get set up here for our top 16. First battle coming out now, going to be Alan Boss and Dylan Weber.
Dylan, Weber Valley Speedway versus Alan, Prospect Boss. This should be a good battle here. Dylan's a little outgunned, but I think he's got a strategy to hang with the big boys.
Yeah, and remember, Alan Boss kind of nerfing the car a little bit for this weekend, only on a 235 tire, so should be a lot of grip missing out of that car compared to what's normally set up for pro.
Yeah, and we got some insider info. Alan's got a bent subframe from that collision with Clark earlier, so he dialed the arms out a bit to try to get the alignment in spec, and he's gonna let her rip.
And that's kind of the nature of the beast here with drifting is, stuff happens on track, and you just do what you can to kind of get it patched together in a pinch here. And Alan Boss doing exactly that. And as you can see, on grid, ready to go. The man's down for war, so happy to see him out.
Shout out to Sean Callahan out there striping the track in the high-vis orange. Looking good, bud.
All right, and they are going. Alan Boss going to lead the way here. See how he's doing with his hand alignment there, and it seems like it's working well. They make their way through that first outside zone, and you can see as they make their way into that second outside zone, Alan right on that line where he needs to be. Dylan with a big horsepower disadvantage here, trying to make up some ground, and he does, just painting the side of the 350Z. You can see, big straight in there from Weber in the chase. Alan Boss doing a fantastic job finishing out that run.
Yeah, a little mistake there from Dylan after the inner clip, but he hung with Boss well for that horsepower disadvantage. He played the start light just right, and he entered right on Alan's mirror. It was good, but a little bobble there, and that's going to be hard to come back from.
Yeah, that's kind of that situation we were talking about earlier, where you're coming through that smoke line and you're just trying to commit to the line and hope everything works. And maybe Dylan a little bit too aggressive there on initiation and sets himself up at kind of a weird angle and has to try and pull speed out of the car, and it ends up just understeering a little bit. And you can see the handbrake there locked up, trying to get the car to stay at angle.
Yeah, I know Dylan's been battling, having a hard time finding what gear to run. He's kind of between gears in this layout. One of his crew members had his Mustang here with a different gear set, and they were about to swap axles in the pits earlier, but Dylan called it on that.
Yeah, stay with what you know, I guess, and try and just make it work. And you can see that big three-motion entry there. You heard Matt earlier talk about what the judges were looking for on initiation. Weight transfer being the limiting factor. Try to go 1-2 and already have the car to angle. But Alan Bosch just burning the door down on the side of that Mustang. And we had mentioned earlier about Dylan putting older kind of beat-up doors on that car specifically for this event. And, I mean, Alan Bosch putting full use to the exception there and just running him in all the way through that second outside zone.
Yeah, a little loop out there from Alan, and it's up to the judges, but from what I could see, Dylan kind of held that zone well, so I don't know what the call is going to be there. Yeah, that initiation is going to hurt Dylan there, though, that little extra motion.
Yeah, you can see there in the replay how much smoke is coming off the back of Boss's car behind Dylan Weber. And, Alan Boss clearly has a bunch of wheel speed in that car as he tries to neck up here and just get to the side of the Mustang. And he actually pushes a little bit too far and kind of just bumps that rear quarter and it sends him around. But ultimately, you can see Alan Boss going to move forward, and the judges confirming that little three-motion initiation there by Dylan will be deemed a 0. So For the other competitors out there listening in the paddock, you know what you have to do now. Definitely take your mind your P's and Q's there on initiation.
Yeah, I do got to give credit to Dylan, though. You know, first time competing this weekend, and pretty fresh build. You know, he's been driving this car for a while, but he changed a lot of stuff up on it. And still ironing it out, giving it hell. So hopefully he gets it sorted out better for round 3, and we'll see how he does.
And lined up here, we have another very interesting battle of Josh Dennis with the K24 E46 against Andrew Shorkey with that LS3 C5 vet. And this C5 is kind of an interesting story. I mean, this thing has been everywhere. That car has seen more travel than I have.
And I know Josh didn't run last night. He was having throttle body issues. And from what I gathered, I believe he drove to Syracuse to pick up a throttle body last night to make it here to drive today.
You can see there Shorkey doing that same kind of he steps the car out to the right, kind of taking the lane up for the chase driver, and then big weight transfer to flick into initiation there. But, man, if he has the space to do it, it works well for him. As you can see him coming through the middle, Dennis standing on it, trying to catch up there through the center section of the track. You see Shorkey run it out there at the end. And, I mean, really, really good lead there by Shorkey. That initiation, if you were another driver, I'd have to assume that you're kind of taking note of that. You know what he's going to do now when he leaves the line. He wants to move to the right and have that big range of motion there to get the car out to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Shorkey's an animal, dude. Anytime I see his name next to mine on the bracket, I'm always nervous pulling up to the line.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. If I am in line to run at a Matt Sear event and Shorkey is behind me, I'm a little bit nervous because I know what's going to happen.
It's probably the fastest you'll drive all night when he's behind you.
You can see there in the replay, Dennis trying to make up some ground there through that center section, but ultimately not able to make it up and finishing with maybe a 2 to 3 car gap there. I mean, both of these drivers doing a very good job. Nobody went off track. There was definitely no zeroing in that run. It's just the way that Corvette puts down grip and makes as much torque as it does. It's a hard thing to beat when you have to dig out of a corner like that. Give Dennis a chance here to lead the way. As you can see, he goes into the barrier, and he looks like he may have broke a camber arm in the back of the E46 there. As you can see the wheel fold up into the quarter, and you can see it there on the drone footage. It is mangled, so that will probably end the night there for Josh Dennis, and you hate to see it, but man, love the commitment coming into initiation there. It was just a little bit overcommitted, I guess, and found a jersey barrier, and man, you hate to see it, but sometimes that's the way it goes.
Yeah, Dennis got on the wall in the entry there, and that was all she wrote.
I mean, what a warrior. I mean, that guy last night having all kinds of issues, and then, man, just to get the car back together to come out here, makes it to top 16, gets put in against Shorkey, which is daunting enough in itself, and then, you know, just that one little misstep there on initiation is going to cost you more than likely the evening. You can see that tire just hanging on there. The wheel's all bent up.
Yeah, on the live stream there, you could actually see one of the control arms hanging, dragging on the ground as he's pulling off. But
all right, and there you go. Andrew Shorkey is indeed going to move forward. And if you know the rear geometry on these cars, it is essentially a trailing arm, a knuckle, and then a camber arm, and that's basically it. So if that camber arm lets go, I mean, that's exactly what you have happen. So I have to assume he broke one of those. And, I mean, you do technically have a spring bucket there that it's cast aluminum. Doesn't really stop anything bad from happening. So it doesn't take much to really do a lot of damage here in the rear end of an E46.
Yeah, you got to give it to Josh, though, like I said, fighting. From what I heard, he drove to Syracuse. It's got to be 3-4 hours from here just to try to get that car in the battle today. So tough loss, but got to give him props for working hard. Looks like next up we got Mo and Steve. We got the JZ versus the German JZ.
Yeah, Steve Ditis there with the N54 Turbo and Mo Alderman with the 2J GTE. And Mo, depending on what kind of mood he's in, that car might make 500, it might make 700. So it really just depends on what he's got thrown into the tune there, and if he's running nitrous or yes or not or anything else. Very, very serious car. And Steve Ditis, I mean, for what he's doing in that car, it's a relatively simple setup. I believe that's basically a stock N54 with just some turbo and a little bit of tuning there, some programming, maybe a standalone. I didn't really get a chance to take a great look at it, but, I mean, if you look at it from right now, I mean, if I saw that car driving down the street, it wouldn't be none the wiser other than the Grid Life sticker on the front.
Yeah, I got to say, Zach, no offense, but I'm not a BMW guy, but Steve's car looks good. It sounds good. Let's see what he's got for Mo.
Yeah, I mean, Mo's car is just absolutely gorgeous. He got a fresh wrap on it, new livery, and you can see he drives it like the livery and the wrap means nothing as he throws it in on that first wall, now making his way to the second outside zone. Smoke rolling out of the back of the 240. Steve Ditis, though, no slouch, absolutely sticking to the side of Mo all the way through that second outside zone. And you can see that check up there coming into outer 3, and I have to believe there's so much smoke coming off the back of Mo's car that you either hit that transition perfectly or it's going to be a real sad night. So,
yeah, it's a tough transition through that smoke. You just got to have faith in the guy in front of you, and it's hard to have that faith, man. You're blind coming through there, but Steve stuck it right on Mo all through outer 2. So it's hopefully Mo could do the same. That was a fun run to watch.
And you can see there on that initiation, that is exactly what the judges are looking for. Stay nice and straight, maintain your lane, clutch kick just to get the weight on that outside tire, and then throw it in and go. As soon as the car gets to angle, Mo is on the floor all the way through the first and second outer zone. Steve Ditis doing a fantastic job there in chase, and I just coming through that inner section there, coming from the inner clip to outer 3, man. Great job on Steve's part there to just send it through the smoke and trust Mo to be where he needs to be. You can see Steve there doing the very, very similar entry as he tries to make up some ground here on Mo, and he is kind of opening up a gap coming through outer 2, but not quite getting out to that zone fully. So a little bit of a tighter line there from the Ditis. That's going to be a little bit of a detriment there in the lead. But Mo, I mean, not really taking full advantage of that tighter line there. He's not able to get inside of Steve. And it is, I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic between these two cars because Steve's car is, I mean, basically bare. It's all black. It's self-represented. There's no big, sponsorship stickers and things on it. And then you have Mo's car. It's like full livery, big, flashy, crazy wrap on it. And, I mean, you can see just how competitive these two cars are against one another here in Drift.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we got the next 2 line up. Troy Manners, Fred Mayabbach. Like Zach said, Troy's got a whole slew of sponsors on that. Fred is, self-supported, barn-built E36. It's both these guys hold pro spec licenses, so this should be a heater.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd have to be, if I was Fred right now, I'd be so excited because you can drive it in as hard as you need to go here. Troy's going to be everywhere he needs to be. You can be super confident in his lead run. And when they switch, I can only assume that Troy is going to be just as aggressive as Fred is.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard following a guy that you don't have 100% confidence in, but I know Fred knows he could throw it on Troy's door, and they're both going to throw down.
And I think Fred is still on 235s, if I'm not mistaken. Fred loves to run that car on very little tires.
Yeah, and I can confirm from running through tech there with Fred, he is indeed on a 235. He is. He said he's on a 235 because it's what fits.
Yeah, he's a wild bird like that.
Fred or dead.
And you can see there on the screen, Mo Alderman going to move on over Steve Ditis here in the top 16.
Man, Mo's been on one this weekend. I believe he went into the grade 8 last night. He might have went even further, but yeah, he's really turned it up this season, and the car looks good, too, to match.
Yeah, and it's never a bad day to hear Jay-Z noises.
Speaking of Jay-Z's, we got Troy with the Jay-Z powered 1 Jay-Z GTE and the S14.9, and then Fred with the S50 Turbo.
Yeah, and I mean, Fred's car is a little bit deceptive. Sitting next to Troy's there, you can see Troy's, got the intercooler hanging out the front. It looks like full race car status, but Fred equally as race car, just all the body panels on there, and definitely crazy. It's a full rear mount radiator setup, and I'm pretty sure that didn't Fred do all the work to that car by himself, basically?
Yeah, Fred did all the fab work himself on that car, and a little kudos to Fred. That car is registered, insured, and plated, so Fred street drives that car too. I mean, it's barely a street car.
Yeah, and
but it's got plates. Oh, AJ's throwing some shade. It's technically not a street car since it got a rear. Oh, you know what? Ooh, Matt, what are you going to say to that? Rear
Can
mount, not
Fred
a street
Mayabbach
car?
compete in street car with a rear rack?
Technically, he can't, but
you're going to let him anyway because
no, I can't. But yeah, Fred built that car himself. I believe he painted him. Everything's been done himself. And fun fact, we actually chained that car to a tree in Fred's driveway and did a 5th gear burnout not too long back.
Yeah, I can absolutely vouch for that. I still, to this day, have that video saved on my old phone because I had to share it around because that was the most insane thing I've seen in a while.
In the Willy Wonka costume.
Welcome to Wonka Vision.
All right, you can see here Troy leading the way. That car is so fast down the front straight, but Fred not letting him get away. A little bit less angle there, but, you know, Troy's car, you have to make up for it somehow, and Fred chooses to do that by just pulling a little bit of angle out and using that BMW grip to get up next to him. Fred not letting him get away. Let's see how he does through the smoke here. Fred, no fear there, coming right through the smoke, right where he needs to be, finishing off there with maybe a 1.5 car gap. And, I mean, with the speed disadvantage there, Troy's car is very gripped up. It's very, very fast. I think Fred did a fantastic job there in chase, and it's going to be interesting to see just how aggressive Troy chooses to get here in the chase.
Yeah, not sure what Fred changed his technique there, but in the seating bracket, he kept getting gapped between that inner clip and that outer zone, and whatever he changed, he was cooking through there. It looked good.
Might just be a little bit of setup change or just maybe a little more skinny pedal down, but yeah, he's got that thing cruising now.
Yeah, and I can attest to the street driving of Fred Mayabbach's E36. I yelled at him while we were coming through tech because he had some debris on his passenger side floorboard, and that was his earplugs that he wears when he street drives it, because that car is a dog box and is very loud. You can see gorgeous initiation there by Mayabbach, filling all of that first outer zone. Troy doing his best to stay next to the E36, and you can see just how quickly he can close that gap in drift. But Fred doing an extremely good job in chase, maybe even, or in lead, maybe even better than Troy there, maintaining that perfect 100-point lead run. As you can see there, Fred hits a cone and rips the bumper off the back of the E36 to finish the run there.
Yeah, and I talked to Fred after the seating, or after practice, sorry, and, you know, that car makes some jam, and for some reason it's not smoking like the rest of them. And I asked him, like, are you a little light on the throttle? And he said whatever tires he's running is not smoking. So Troy had a bit of an advantage there, had the visibility, and Fred was getting smoked out when he was in the chase, but powered through it.
Yeah, you can see here looking at that replay just how much smoke comes off the back of Manor's car all the way through. And Fred, I mean, you can see there through transition, it basically completely goes away. And I know that Fred is on throttle all the way through there. You can hear it from up here in the booth. I'm not sure how well it comes across in stream. Fred's car is relatively quiet for being as serious of a car as it is, but nonetheless, I mean, the turbo noises, you can hear it all the way up here.
And I know Fred, the way Fred's got that car tuned, it's got like 5 different maps on it, you know, 5 different tune levels. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he constantly runs it in like the most mild setting. I think it's always on level 1. So there's a lot of potential there in that car if Fred really wants to turn it up.
You can see there on the side-by-side, I mean, that top-down shot from the drone really kind of puts it all out there for you to see. And it almost looks like, you know, Fred might have been considerably closer there through a lot of the run in his chase on Troy rather than Troy on Fred. So, you know, interesting to see how the judges take this one. I know they requested the side-by-side there because that was a very, very close battle.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the 2 straight 6 turbos, that was the best sounding battle we had tonight. It sounds amazing.
We got Fred Spotter out there, Drift Poppy Joe Sansone, being pretty animated, pretty stoked with Fred's performance there, and I'd have to agree.
Joe is actually smiling right now.
We just had like 8 people say, Joe never smiles.
Proud dad Joe Sansone out there looking over at Fred Mayabbach, throwing up the number 1. He wants to see his boy move forward. But unfortunately, Troy Manners gets the win. And he throws up the hands. He says, crying face. He'll go back and I'm sure a nice fatherly discussion about Fred Mayabbach's performance here tonight. Congratulations to Troy.
getting some input from AJ Popovich here. Fred. Yep, Fred was a little shallow, sacrificing chase or sacrificing some angle in the chase to maintain proximity, and Troy was pretty matched in angle. Yeah, and Troy matched line and angle on his chase. So just wanted to give those tuning in some input.
All right, and leading the line now, we have Andre Musienko in the lead and Colin Gillespie in the chase. This is a very interesting battle as well. I mean, so much horsepower under the hood of that RS5 Audi. And then you can see Colin Gillespie there in the chase, doing a very good job maintaining the proximity where he needs to. And this is going to be a very committed moment here for Colin coming through the smoke, and he does. He throws it in. Absolutely no care in the world for his own safety coming towards that Jersey barrier through the smoke. Fantastic job there in the chase by Colin Gillespie. And you can see there on the side of Colin's car that title sponsor Land Glide app. And you can see on the side of Andre FCP Euro and Liqua Molly on that Audi RS5. Both these guys throwing down tonight and last night as well. Andre moving all the way to the finals last night and hoping to do the same tonight.
I don't want to speak too soon, but I have a feeling we're going to see that FCP Euro car in the finals tonight. I mean, he's on one today.
Yeah, I mean, he came last year, and he did a couple of rounds as well, and a little bit of inconsistencies. I know they were having some car trouble, and then tonight and last night, man, he is on a heater. He is on a mission this weekend to make something happen here, and so far, he is doing exactly that. All right, we're going to have Colin now in the lead. Andre Musienko knowing full well that he's got to be aggressive in this chase to make this last. So you can see very good initiation there from Colin. Andre not letting him get away as you can see how quick he's able to make up ground in chase on the side of that E46 as he bumps Colin there, coming out of outer 2 into inner clip and then here into outer zone number 3. Colin with a very, very nice line there in the lead, giving Andre the absolute perfect opportunity to chase, and Andre does exactly that.
And props to Andre, because it's not super easy with a car that fast, that hooked up, to chase something, slower compared to that car. So, very, very good driving by him. I mean, that was just a masterclass on how to chase.
Yeah, it's, coming from a guy who drove that lower horsepower car, that was something you always had in the back of your head, is like, I'm going to drive as fast as I can, but this guy behind me, he might not be able to drive that slow. So you almost have an advantage when you're in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, how's the old saying go? It's much more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And, I mean, that absolutely lives on through drifting. As you can see, Andre Musienko is going to take the win over Colin Gillespie. And can't say enough good things about Colin, one of the nicest guys out here, and just proud to see him out there doing his thing and making his way through competition. Andre Musienko, though, not enough can be said about how he drives that car. It is very well put together, and he beats on it, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and Colin, he's gone rounds last night and tonight. He's putting points in that point fund for the year, and so today wasn't a total loss. He made it happen.
All right, you can see here lined up. Dirk Stratton leading the way for Blake Doge. Dirk with a phenomenal entry there, filling all of outer 1, coming now into outer 2, as you can see smoke rolling off the back of that Lingenfelder Vet. Blake, uncharacteristically little smoke coming out of the back of that 240, but now he turns it on as they come through the middle, trying to make up some ground here. And I have to believe these two cars, with the way that they're sorted out and the way I know that Blake's car is set up, the horsepower difference probably not as much as you would think.
Yeah, because Blake's Turbo LS, correct? So, yeah, I mean, I'd imagine, and at a certain point on this layout, too, 500 horsepower versus 600 horsepower, that's not a huge disparity. You can certainly make up for that on this layout, as opposed to like last night on the banked layout where, that 100 horsepower you can't make up anywhere. So, very, very good driving by Blake there in the chase position.
Yeah, and I know I got a chance to walk around and talk to a lot of guys because we had to come back in here early in the morning to finish off last night's round 1, and then we had a pretty decent gap there to reset the track and stuff. Got to walk around and just kind of converse with everybody. And, you know, everyone was kind of excited about this layout because it's kind of the great equalizer. It's, you know, it's 3 big sweepers essentially, and it's really nicely set up for tandem, but having a bunch of horsepower is not really going to be in your favor, more so than just kind of give you a better show. You're going to have a lot more smoke, I guess. But you can see here Blake leading the way, sends it in. Dirk, though, has to know that he's got to be able to be a little bit aggressive here. He's going to have to stay up close to him. And you can see Blake actually running away a little bit there in outer zone number 2 as they come to that inner clip. Dirk, obviously, no fear coming through that smoke. He's seen it, done it, he's been there. Blake, though, managing to maintain a gap all the way through the end of that run as he sends it up the bank to finish it off. Absolutely great job by both of these guys. I know that I would not want to be a judge in this situation. It's very, very tight.
Yeah, no, I mean, both drivers did a great job in the chase. I would assume the judges are probably going to very heavily scrutinize the lead runs now. Just because, and granted, I don't have the fine eye these guys have, and I'm not paying that closely to all the fine minutia of it, but both chases looked very good. But, yeah, like I said, I think this one will probably be very heavily judged on the lead.
So taking a look here at the YouTube live chat while we wait for the judges' deliberation, I see a fun fact. Dirk's car qualifies for Street League. So there you go. Dirk Stratton's car can totally do the street cruise.
So are we going to see Dirk Stratton at the Erie Streetcar Comp or what? Hey, that would be fun.
I talked to Dirk last night, and he does have a PPG dog set in that trans, so it does not qualify for the streetcar.
And you can hear it there from the man running the comp. He says no dog gears, which Fred Mayabbach, again.
I purposely wrote the rules so Fred Mayabbach cannot compete in the streetcar comp.
All right, you got there on your side-by-side. Dirk Stratton will get the win here over Blake Doge. All right.
It is getting heated up here talking about streetcar versus race car. I love it.
The guys up here kind of talking back and forth a little bit, but Dirk Stratton does indeed get the win there over Blake. And, I mean, valiant effort there by Blake as you see Casey Rodriguez and Tom Snyder coming out here now. Oh, my goodness. You can see Casey, maybe a little bit of a strange initiation there, but Tom sends it into the side of Casey Z, and have to get a little bit of word from the judges there. Not really sure who's at fault for that. You can see Casey's car is stalled. He's trying to get it started there and make it back to the line here.
Yeah, that was a weird collision there. You know, Casey entered pretty fast, and, I mean, I don't know if Tom was just cooking faster or what, but got into Casey the Hawk Rodriguez right there, and Casey's shaking his car down. I think he just caught him in the door, so both cars look okay. I guess we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I kind of want to take a look here at this replay, see exactly what went down. It looks like Casey, I mean, he comes in hot. Everything seems to be going right. He flicks it to angle, and Tom maybe just overcooks a little bit and sends it in. And, I mean, I don't really see anything from that camera angle that really paints Casey as the criminal there. It looks more like Tom was just kind of coming in too hot and couldn't stay out of the way there.
And props to Casey because, I mean, you could tell as soon as Tom got in him, Casey was committed to driving out of that. He wasn't going to lay over, and he was doing everything he could to fight that and keep on that line. So, you know, shout out to Casey for that, for just still trying to run it through and put on a show. But it looks like Casey's pulling off, probably going to check and shake that front end of that car down. That's probably a good call just to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, generally speaking, after a hit like that, especially if you're not at fault for it, we will give that driver a chance to go off and just, you know, essentially take a look at it, see how everything stands. If it looks good, we send him back out. If not, he will have a couple of minutes there to get it figured out. So good job there. Kind of an interesting series of events. All right, you can see that on the screen now as we pan across. Okay, I guess we are going to see this replay again. All right, we're taking a look here at this replay again. Casey Rodriguez with that weight transfer flicks the car to angle, and then I'm not really sure if Casey maybe slowed down or if Tom was just overcooking it there, but goes into the side of the Z. And yeah, very interesting series of events here. We're trying to determine fault on that, get all the angles to the judges, let them make a decision. Yeah, and as you got a chance there on the screen to see that LakeErieSpeedway.com, head on over there and check out all the events going on here at the Speedway. We have everything from fun events of drifting with the Big Mat Series events. We have Pro-Am, we have Street Car, we have monster trucks, we have Crasherama. Sometimes there's fireworks, as well as, you know, cook-offs. And, yeah, we had a rodeo here a couple months ago. That was, you know, really interesting to see. They cover the center of the track in dirt and, you know, do rodeo things.
I believe we got monster trucks on the schedule next weekend,
Monster
too.
trucks are next weekend.
My brother and my nephew and my dad, I believe, are coming down and watching monster trucks. But right now in the shoot, we got Benny, Too Many, Bruno versus Andrew Faulk, both with the budget LS swaps. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Andrew Faulk here going to get a chance to lead against Ben Bruno. Ben been super consistent all day on this layout. Andrew Faulk, though, doing the same. And like I said again, and I will continue to say it throughout the night, this layout is just so nice for tandem. It's really nice and flowy. It doesn't have a bunch of like weird technical things going on. So, you know, really eager to see how this plays out. Similar powered cars for sure. All right, we are getting confirmation from the judges up here. Casey throwing a whole bunch of angle into that first turn, and then it looked like he never really got on the throttle. It never really lit off, so they are determining that Casey Rodriguez will be at fault for that contact. So coming into the next battle here, the second half of that, Casey going to have to throw down in chase to make up for that. All right, and they have left the line. Andrew Faulk going to lead the way here for Ben Bruno. Nice little weight transfer there in the lead by Faulk. Bruno maybe half a car gap there as they come through the middle. Andrew not really able to pull out a gap. Ben doing a very good job there in chase. A little bit less angle, but he's trying to keep that proximity as they come through the middle. As you see brake lights from the left foot brake from Bruno in the chase going right through the smoke. No fear there as he comes in on the side of Faulk's door as they come through that final outside zone. I mean, very good job by Andrew Faulk there in the lead, giving Ben that extremely chaseable lead run.
Yeah, Ben saw a lot of left foot break through that run, so it seems like he's got his car hooked up a bit more than Andrew's and was just holding it back. So Andrew's a little shallow on that last outer zone. I don't know, just doesn't have enough power in it or what, but we'll see. If Ben takes his foot off the brake, he'll probably light that thing off on this lead run.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things that you see a lot of that in the chase, and if you're not familiar with drifting, that's not necessarily a braking to slow down. It's just to maintain angle in the car and be able to keep the rear wheels lit so that you don't end up straightening if you have to slow down a bunch. Or if you're chasing a much slower driver, you have this weird kind of situation of if you just stay on it, you don't touch the brakes, you're going to run them down, so you maintain your speed and angle with the left foot brake there. And we're going to give Ben a chance here to answer. You can see that big weight transfer there by Andrew Faulk in the chase. Ben not quite getting out to that first zone, a little bit shallow, but you know, Andrew not letting him get away. He is painting the side of that car black with the tire rubber as Ben makes his way through that second outside zone. Faulk falls off a little bit coming to that inner clip, and maybe a 3 or 4 car gap there through the center, but Andrew getting right up to the side there at the end, finishing off strong. I mean, Ben putting down a really nice lead run, a little bit shallow there in that first zone, but ultimately, I mean, very chaseable, right where he needs to be, no tires off, so definitely scoreable here from these two.
Yeah, Ben was a little shallow on that last outer there, but he was definitely deeper than Andrew, but Andrew stuck it right on his door through the end of that. It was a good one to watch. It's going to be a tough call for the judges here.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things where that commitment moment of coming through the smoke there and just send it in and hope that the guy in front of you is doing what he needs to do. And I mean, it worked out. He was right where he needed to be there to finish off the run.
Yeah, and these two drive together a lot, so that just goes to show they're both very comfortable with running each other, trying to dive in and get in that pocket. That was a great battle. Hats off to both Andrew and Ben. Whichever way this goes, both of those guys can hang their heads high. They put on a great show.
Both great guys, too. I mean, staples at Matt Series events, throwing down A-group trains with everybody. So cool to see those two slugging it out with the big boys tonight.
Yeah, and it is a really cool thing. You can see Ben's hand out the window. Not sure if he's waving people on or if he's trying to get off track. You never know with that car. Sometimes it's running great, sometimes it's overheating. So
that kind of looked like a fist bump to me. I think he was just having so much fun in that battle.
Oh, I know. I talked to him this morning, and he was super excited about this layout being, kind of the equalizer. And there you go. You get to see it again one more time for Ben, Bruno, and Andrew Faulk. We'll send him back in the pits, let him cool off, and then come back out and give her another go.
Hey, I'm excited to watch that one again. And unanimously, too, one more time. So let's go, boys.
They did such a good job, they get to do it again.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things where, I mean, that's the one more time you want to see, where the battle was just too close to call. We really want to have them go out and make somebody put it on the line and not leave it up to the judges, make it utterly undeterminable who is the victor there.
Yeah, sometimes you get the one more times. Both guys made a big mistake, and that's not what anyone wants to see. They want to see two guys just slugging it out and got to line it up again and do the same. So it'll be fun to watch.
It's one of those kind of situations where we saw, in the Road Atlanta Formula Drift there in the wet where you had Frederick Osbo and James Dean going 3 or 4 more times. It was just because it's so close that you just send them again. It's a battle of attrition at that point. Someone has to make a mistake or someone's going to be, head and shoulders above the other guy for whatever reason. And super excited to see those guys come back out and try it again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick commercial break there while those guys go back and get their cars reset. Thank you all for tuning in to the Great Lakes Formula Drift Pro-Am Series, sponsored by ProWay Services and Distinct Drift. We will see you here in just a minute or two.
Link ECU, let's get it. We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20 Blink Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine. And then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an F824 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's stock K24 or it's a 1,000-wheel 2J. Link ECU all day.
There was indeed a, prototype Corvette that was mid-engine way back in the day. But, man, it never saw production because the LT1 was just such a pile of shit. They did once, and then it caught fire, so we can't do that anymore. Yep. Okay. Okay. So then what are we going to do? Someone get to buy them? Like Casey's out? Okay. So you can see there on the screen the bracket is laid out. And in the event of that Casey Rodriguez, Tom Snyder situation, Casey was deemed at fault. However, Tom is not able to continue. His car is damaged too badly to get back on track. So the winner of Ben, Bruno, Andrew, Faulk will be moving on with a bye run into top 4.
And just looking through the bracket here, so Tom's bowing out. The winner of Ben, Bruno, and Andrew with the 2 budget LS swaps are going to be facing either Andre with the hot rod Audi there or Dirk with his Pro 1 Corvette. So it's a battle of junkyard versus heavyweight big baller drift cars.
Yeah, a real David versus Goliath situation here, and it's going to be an uphill battle for no matter who it is.
And it's hard, you know, you got hard not to root for the underdog. Everyone loves to see them win.
Yeah, it is kind of one of those situations where, you know, it's a weird thing because when it comes to drifting, we all know each other. We're all friends. We're all kind of like this weird sort of family vibe here, and then you're kind of rooting for your boys as much as you can, but man, the winner of that Andre Musienko and Dirk Stratton battle getting to go against either Ben Bruno or Andrew Faulk. Man, if I was in Ben Bruno's shoes or Andrew Faulk's shoes, I don't know if I'd be excited or shaken because that's going to be an interesting battle there.
Yeah, the fact that Dirk and Andre are facing each other in not the finals is insane. You know, that speaks to the caliber of the bracket of drivers we have here tonight.
Here you can see a nice, beautiful overview of the facilities we got here at Lake Erie Speedway. I mean, it truly is a world-class facility they give us here. I mean, the pits are great. The track is incredible. The grandstands, the whole infrastructure here, it's truly phenomenal. And they just let us come here and be degenerates and do what some of the old heads call burnout racing. So, you know, we can't thank Lake Erie Speedway enough for everything they let us do here.
Yeah,
It'd be great if we could get FD to come back. I know that was when FD was here a couple years ago. That was an incredible event. I mean, the stands were packed. Even in the rain for practice, the stands were packed. So, you know, just truly a shout out to Lake Erie Speedway. A great facility, run by great people, great staff, just phenomenal all around.
Yeah, and I mean, that cannot be, you know, overstated. There's nothing you can say that can express the gratitude that we all feel as drivers and as competitors and as, you know, even just staff members. You get to come hang out for the weekends and do this. Lake Erie Speedway has kind of become our home away from home, and, you know, they do nothing but support us. And it's kind of really awesome that, you know, for Matt Series events, they kind of pitched the idea of drifting to them, and at the time it was a very, you know, kind of slow-growing sport, just getting the grass, like the ball rolling there. And now, I mean, we can't sell tickets fast enough. It's a crazy situation now for drivers. You come out to the fun events like Matt Series, and it's really kind of, you know, sort of a hands-off moment for the, you know, the actual Lake Erie employees. The Matt Series staff kind of takes over and runs the event, and everyone's just kind of real chill vibes, hanging out. And, you know, if you do get a chance to come out, if you do come drive, if we don't know you, get to start and see. So everybody gets to start at the exact same spot, and you work your way up from there. And, you know, it's just a really cool thing. And, you know, excited here in a month. We're going to get to come back and do it again, baby.
And these got to be some of the biggest grassroots events in the country. I mean, just the sheer turnout. I mean, we get, 230 cars here?
All right, and I don't want to take anything away from this. This is Alan Boss and Andrew Shorkey here pulling up to the line. I believe we had maybe a false start there. We're going to reset them. But to add on to what Taylor was saying, man, it is, if not the most popular, it is really close to the most popular fun drift event in the country. And if you have the chance to come out here, I mean, spectators, I think $10 maybe per day, and you get to walk through the pits, you get to hang out. You know, if you need something to eat, somebody's got something to eat. If you need a bottle of water, somebody's got a bottle of water. So, you know, come out, hang out, and I mean, Pro-Am as well. I mean, if you're really into competition, you want somebody to root for and you want somebody to win, I mean, come spectate. Sit down, hang out. You still get the breaks where you get to go over and hang out in the pits and maybe get a chance to talk to the drivers, talk to the people who are, you know, kind of intimate with the sport and, you know, get a little bit of hands-on knowledge there.
Yeah, and for all the events here, if you've never had one, the chicken and waffle sandwich from the Rusty Wheel, the concession stand at Lake Erie Speedway, is legendary.
Listen,
and if you know someone that's drifted at Erie, they will tell you about the chicken and waffle sandwich.
We said it last night. I will say it again every chance I get. Lake Erie Speedway has the best track food of anywhere I've ever been in my life. Rusty Wheel knocks it out of the park every time you're over there.
This might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but you know what? I like being controversial. I'm going to say it. The drift filet sandwich at the Rusty Wheel is better than anything I've ever had off the menu at Chick-fil-A. You can quote me on that, fight me. I don't care. I'll stand by it.
The Rusty Wheel is the only place I've ever been where you go, say surprise me, and it's always good.
And the Rusty Wheel serves their chicken sandwiches on Sundays.
And last night they had dirt modifieds on the TV in there. It was great. Just this place is just America in a facility. It's incredible.
Have we mentioned that they also have a firework festival once a year? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, the fireworks festival, it is every other summer, but man, if you get the chance to come out, it's a different kind of fireworks. If you go to a 4th of July show, typically, you know, they're like a quarter mile away, and you're just kind of like the boom, the echo, the boom, the echo. Here, they set the fireworks off either from the pit paddock or on the track, and you are in the grandstands. It is a way that you have never seen fireworks, I assure you, if you get the chance to come out. And I think it's like $20 a carload to be there.
Oh, I'll pack people in the trunk.
Oh, boy, the plot thickens, folks. So Alan Boss broke an axle on the launch of that last battle, but since he's already used his competition timeout, he unfortunately has to bow out. So now we just get to sit back and watch Shorkey just do a barn burner. I've never known this man to phone anything in ever.
Yeah, and if I know Shorkey, he is going to put an absolute heater of a buy run down. Watch him put a show on right now.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Shorkey moving on. And I mean, you hate to be, that's the way you get taken out. Shorkey, always the showman, going to send it around the bank, lighting him off on the limiter there in the vet. You know, that might be the first time that we have a non-Yeet Fleet final, or top 4 at the very least.
We need a fact check on that. That might be, you know who would know? Tom Perner, I see you in the comments. Go into that big brain of yours and let us know. Is this the only non-Yeet final we've had at Drift Pahoney?
So to get away from that for a minute, we got 2S chassis, JZ powered. If you're a JDM fan, this is the pinnacle right here. We'll just listen to these things sing on these next 2 runs.
Yeah, this is the 2JZ GTE of Mo Alderman. I'm assuming that thing is set to kill right now because he knows exactly who he's going against. But Troy Manners with the 1J, I'm sure, is doing all the exact same things. And we all know that Troy always has a trick up his sleeve, man. That car might seem a little bit sluggish here and there, and then all of a sudden, 20 miles an hour comes out of nowhere. So I'm really eager to see how this plays out.
And we're talking about JZs. We got one of our judges up here in the stand, AJ Popovich, with the JZ-powered Fox body Mustang. Pretty controversial swap there. And he's grinning from ear to ear listening to us talk about these motors.
You know, I've driven that car, and it might be controversial or blasphemy, but it drives so good.
All right, let's take a look here, see what Mo Alderman's got to say to Troy Manners. Absolutely perfect initiation there all the way through that first outer zone. Troy, though, pulling up to the side of that beautiful 240SX driven by Mo Alderman, but not quite able to make up that gap. This might be the first time that I think I've ever seen Troy get flat out outran on track by somebody. Troy obviously doing his best there to keep up, but Mo has that thing set for war, baby. He's on it.
Dude, Mo's got that car hooked up, like you said, Zach. I think that's the first person I've seen run away from Troy here in 2 seasons. That car is flying, and yeah, he's got his work cut out for him on this lead. We'll see what happens.
All right, you can see there in the replay, Mo Alderman pulling a gap out on Troy there through outer two, through this inner clip. And as you see Troy here come through the smoke, that gap not really getting any smaller. And you see as soon as Mo lights off, he's maintaining that gap all the way through the end of that run. So, I mean, these guys obviously very closely matched here. Really, really interested to see what Mo does here in the chase. He's got to be aggressive.
Yeah, man, like I said, Mo's really cranked it up this season. I love to see it. He's such a nice guy, and like I said, it's cool to see him win and turning it up. Let's just listen to these things eat.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, finishing off that run. I think that was super similar to the first half of that battle. I mean, I'm not a judge, but, man, this might be a time for a one more time just to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a judge right now, Zach.
Hey, I'd watch that again. No, I'll be honest.
And we have got confirmation from up here in the booth. Ben Bruno has broken his car and is not going to be able to make it out for that Andrew Faulk battle. So Faulk will be moving on to face the winner of Stratton Musienko.
Yeah, Andrew Faulk, the Drift Pony Young Buck with the budget swap LS, going to be out here slinging it with the big boys. Let's get it, Andrew.
All right, the judges are indeed requesting a side-by-side for Mo and Troy Manners. You can see it up there on screen. Troy Manners there on the left side in the lead. And you can see maybe like a 1.5 to 2 car gap, but Mo riding a very, very nice line there in the chase. And you can see on the right side of the screen through that first outer zone, I think Mo might have actually pulled a gap there on Troy, a little bit bigger, but I mean, ultimately super similar here, left and right.
Yeah, it looked like Troy on his lead filled out outer three a little bit better, too. I mean, they're going to have to get real nitpicky with this one. But, yeah, very, very good runs by both drivers on both halves of the battle.
Man, and even just looking at those cars sitting there, like, you look at the trunk setup with the cooling vents, the fuel fill, the expansion tank, they're very, very similar cars. I mean, they're both S14 chassis. Troy's got the S14.9 conversion, as they like to call it. So it's got the S15, front and rear clip, but it's basically two of the same cars slugging it out here.
All right, and as we take a moment here to let the judges kind of deliberate and make the decision on the Mo-Troy Manners battle, we are taking a look here at this top-down shot of the Speedway from the drone. And you can see, I mean, just how big this property is. And, I mean, maybe Taylor, maybe you know a little bit more about this. How big is the Lake Erie Speedway Oval? I can never remember off the top of my head.
I believe it's a 3/8 of a mile oval track. So they run, like Race of Champions comes out here. They'll, they get pretty fast sportsmens and modifieds out here. They actually have the Big Rig Series, which if you've never seen that, look up videos of that. That is wild. It is so cool. Just road tractors all tuned up and hopped up, just hammering out here.
Yeah, and I mean, it is kind of an interesting setup here at the Speedway. I mean, most ovals you go to, there's at least some kind of grass in the infield. There's a little bit of a cut here and there, but as you can see it on screen, Troy Manners moving forward over Mo Alderman. Fantastic job by both these drivers, and Troy, the defending 2024 champion, there he is.
Yeah, so talking to the judges here, it looks like Mo was a little short on outer three. He missed it on his lead, and that's what that was the deciding factor. So a little disappointing to see, but those guys just put on a show for everyone. And here's Andrew with his bye run. We'll just let you listen to that. So Andrew obviously going to win the buy round there. But in the burnout box right now, we got Andre and Dirk Stratton. These are two heavyweight cars right here. I mean, big dollar, well-built, top-of-the-line cars. And, yeah, this should be a barn burner right here.
Yeah, I mean, as not to put the camera towards myself here, but Andre's car in the burnout box makes more smoke than my car has ever made. So,
yeah, I think I'm probably in the same boat.
I have seen Taylor's car make more smoke out of the leaking valve covers than Andre's has off the tires, though.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to bring that up, but if you want to be that guy, yeah, I guess it's happened, you know. Sure, the car's lit on fire.
Really interesting.
A lot of times.
Can't tell if Dirk's going to stay staggered here, if he's going to pull all the way up to the line. He is going to stay staggered. So Dirk Stratton going to jump the light here a little bit, try to get out tight on Andre Musienko. And you can hear that Audi and the Corvette sitting there on the line.
Yeah, I could feel those two cars backfiring up here. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, both these drivers definitely down to play here. Andre Musienko, they make it through. It's a clean start. Dirk, less than a car between the two, throws it in. Andre with a perfect entry there. Dirk not letting him get away. And you can see here Dirk trying to make up some ground there, but Andre keeping that gap open all the way through outer two now as they come past this inner clip. Both guys standing on it, smoke pouring out of the back of these cars. You can see the fire coming out of the back of that Vet. Andre Musienko fills all of outer three to finish off that run.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it too soon, but I think Dirk giving him a little too much room on that transition there really might have put him behind the 8-ball on this one, because, I mean, that was a heater of a lead. So, I mean, Dirk's going to have to swing for the fences on this. Checkers or rockers at this point.
Andre was a little far off of the inner clip. You'll see it here on the replay, and that might come back to bite him, but we'll see. I mean, those guys are putting on a show, and that's all you can ask for if you're a spectator.
And you can see there as they finish the run, that little gap opening up there through outer three. Interesting to see here, Andre Musienko taking the same approach there to that start. Putting a little bit of stagger in there so he can roll the light and make sure that Dirk does not pull a gap on him here during initiation. And you can see them coming in. Dirk Stratton throws it in a little bit shallow there on that first outside zone. Andre, though, deals extremely well with the line, getting right up to the side of the Vet all the way through outer zone number 2. Very, very similar line here from both of these guys in their leads. You can see the fire coming out of the back of that Lingenfelder Vet as they finish off the run here. Andre Musienko, probably half a car maybe between the two there at the end.
And it looked like Dirk was a little shallow coming out of outer 2 as well. So we'll have to see when they pull up the replay here, I'm sure, which we'll get any second. We'll have to take a close look at that and kind of see exactly how it shook out lead for lead, because, I mean, Andre's chase was money.
Yeah, Andre glued right on Dirk. I know, like I said, Andre missed that inner clip a bit, and Dirk hit it dead on. So it's a tough call. I wouldn't want to be a judge right now.
Yeah, this is really where you're going to get down into the nitty-gritty. We are splitting hairs here between these guys. And, I mean, you can hear just the booms coming out of the back of that Vet. They're sitting down there, and Dirk just letting her sing.
Hey, quick little shout-out to my boy Timmy Two-Turnt from Swamp Kids Drift Team. He's watching a live stream right now.
Tim, I'm not going to say it.
All right, getting a side-by-side look at both of these runs here. It is very similar there. Andre maybe maintaining a little bit more of a consistent gap there through outside 2 on the back of Dirk Stratton as they come now into the outside final zone. Andre maybe pulling a little bit of a gap there, but very, very similar here left to right on both of these.
Yeah, I mean, like, both of those drivers through outer 3 looked identical. Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, you know, the judges have to start breaking down every little thing. They're going to look at, you know, how many corrections each driver put into the wheel, you know, how soon did they get on throttle getting into these zones. I mean, they really have to break these down.
All right, you can see it there on the screen. Andre Musienko moving on over Dirk Stratton. You know, one more time they're on the bottom, but inevitably 2 judges going towards Andre, and we will see him moving on here to go against Andrew Faulk. And I got to tell you, man, if I was sitting back in the pits and I was in Andrew Faulk's seat right now, I would be a little nervous moving forward.
Dude, if I was Andrew right now, I'd be looking for a nitrous setup on someone's car.
Yeah, I'd be texting some buddies asking exactly how much dry shot can we put into a stock bottom N53.
I mean, it'd probably take like a 200 shot once.
Hey, Tim, I just want to let you know that Dan doesn't care that you broke your elbow.
And you can see there on the screen, we are getting information now. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, please go to LakeErieSpeedway.com. Look up all the events we have. You can see the social medias there on the side. Anywhere you need to find us, Great Lakes Pro-Am. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. Get in the chat. Give us something to talk about up here.
Yeah, Shorkey and Manners, that is going to be a battle. Those guys have slugged it out before, and they will put on a show. I promise you that.
Link ECU, let's get it. We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20 Blink Monsoons. So rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine, and then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an FA24 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's stock K24 or it's a 1,000 wheel 2J. Link ECU all day.
All right, and we are getting confirmation that Andrew Faulk is going to have to come out and put down one more lap. Call it practice because, baby, you're going to need it when you come up against Andre here moving on. Due to the Ben Bruno and Tom Snyder situation, Andrew Faulk gets 2 buys, making his way all the way to the top 4, essentially unopposed.
So, Zach, if you're Andrew right now, do you just leave the line and save the car for the later battle, or do you go out there and put a heater down to make sure that your lead run's dialed for the battle later?
Full send every time. There's no question in my mind. If the practice that you didn't get earlier in the day, man, make up for it right now, because depending on how Andre's feeling and how he is confident in your ability to lead is going to determine how your future turns out. So,
Yeah, totally agree. No half measures.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Zach. It's Andrew's got a very consistent car. I don't think he has to worry about wearing that thing out, so I'd go put a heater down right now.
all right, we're going to let Andrew Faulk here take his second buy run of the night.
Love to see it, dragging the bank out after right to the chute. Might be some of the staff members might be a little upset about that, but I love to see it.
Yeah, historically, the Rebel Run is what gets the man the most fame. So good on Andrew Faulk for putting on a show.
Yeah, still got to be the people's champ. Don't matter what happens.
All right, coming out onto track now, you can see Troy Manners and Andrew Shorkey. These guys are no strangers to one another. They have battled before, and they know exactly what they're getting into. There will be nothing but confidence and full commitment here in this battle, I'm sure of it. All right, you can see they're pulling up the line. Troy Mander's going to get his lead out of the way first. Andrew Shorkey has to know that this chase has got to be something, man. You're going to have to put it on him and keep it on him the whole way around the track. So really, really interested to see how this plays out.
Shorkey's no stranger to having to put a fire chase on. He's one of the best chase drivers that drives out here. So I would expect to see an absolute barn burner from both of these guys. Lights are up, lights are out, and here we go. Troy's going to come in, nice clean initiation into outer one, fills outer one very well. Both drivers heavy on throttle, big angle out of Shorkey as Manners finishes off outer two beautifully. Let's see how he does in that inner clip. Little wide on the inner clip, but sets him up pretty well for outer three still and really just sends it home.
A little bit of a gap there for Shorkey. I know, historically he usually sticks it on the lead driver a little harder than that, so I don't know if Manners have run away from him, if he's playing it conservative, but I guess we'll see how close Troy is to him, and that'll be the judge of who's gripped up and who's not.
Now, I have to assume the spotter of Troy Manners has to be in his ear going, buddy, you got to send her all the way in. And I'd have to say I think this might be the one time that Shorkey, I don't think he is playing it conservative. I think that's what the Corvette's got there. So, I mean, we've said it before, Troy Manners' car is insanely fast, and, man, the way he pilots it is just he knows everything about it. He knows exactly what to do, what the car wants, and, he's proven it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Manners' spotter, I'd be telling him just put it on the door. Just door him and don't lift.
Yeah, it's late in the evening. Send her on in and see what comes out the other side.
And Shorkey's a guy you could throw it on his door, and he's going to put a heater lead down for you. So he's easy to follow, man. A little bit of left foot brake there from Shorkey, but he's stretching Troy out through the inner clip there, smoking him out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of another situation of it's very equal in my mind. I didn't really see anything too egregious on either side of the battle there, and similar gaps all around it. I don't know if these guys, I don't think they're playing it safe. I really don't. I think it's just the lead driver kind of has that clean air advantage of just being able to stand on it and send her, and the guy in the chase going to have to either do full commit and hope everything works out, or do you leave a car gap there and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I'm really glad I'm not a judge tonight, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, they both had small, minor mistakes, but it's hard to tell, what's going to offset the other. Manners was, outside of the inner clip. Shorkey nailed the inner clip. I know Shorkey was a little light on outer one, and Manners painted outer one. So, it's going to be harder to kind of figure out, who did a better job than the other.
Yeah, and I mean, not to take any eyes away from this battle here as we got the side-by-side rolling there on the live stream, but as the sun goes down, it is remarkably fast how fast the track conditions will change as the air temperature drops here. So these guys are going to have to be cognizant of that and kind of make the moves here to finish out the night.
Yeah, luckily for the drivers here, there's a bit of clouds during the sunset, because I've had some runs here where that sun starts setting into turns 3 and 4, and it is blinding on initiation, and it could wreak havoc on your runs. But luckily, that wasn't an issue tonight.
Yeah, that's and you can see it there popped up on screen. The graphic. It is unanimous. Troy Manners will be moving forward over Andrew Shorkey, and tonight Troy just really proving why he was last year's champion. Putting everything he needs on the line to get it done. And to add to what Matt was saying there about the sun going down here over the speedway, they call it golden hour, and man, the media that comes out of it is absolutely phenomenal. But as a driver, if you are aimed towards the sun as it comes down over the top of these trees, man, it is blinding. So we got a little bit of cloud cover here. Shouldn't be too bad for these guys as the sun drops. And once again, congratulations to Troy Manners moving on there. Andrew Shorkey putting in the battle that he, doing everything he could there, but Troy, man, there's a reason he's champ.
Yeah, speaking of golden hour there, I just want to give a quick shout out to Andrew Donaldson. He's one of our local media guys. I believe he also does the media for Alan Boss during the FD events. He gave me some input on helping set up the media boxes today, and he usually puts some heater media out during golden hour, so I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of picks he snapped tonight.
Just a little bit of a clarification, too, on that last battle. I just spoke to the judges, and Shorkey had a little bit of a bobble in his chase and had some issues with outer zone 1 on his lead. So that just goes to show you how fine you have to look at these runs and how tight, once you get this deep in the bracket, how tight this competition gets. You know, you're looking for minor corrections of the wheel, you know, and how deep they get into the zone. So that's how kind of minute you have to get with this.
And I'm excited for Andrew Faulk in this battle. I mean, we all know he's 100% outgunned in the car, but when you're in that situation, it's cool because you are going to put down the hardest run you can. And, you know, you're just going to let the driving do the talking.
Yeah, and you can see there Andrew Faulk staggering out the start. He is on the bank, which means he is going to roll this light and do everything he can to stick to the back of that RS5.
That's straight out of the low-power playbook. And here we got him. Andre's going to initiate. Very good, clean initiation, but Faulk's not too far out of the equation.
Look at Andrew Faulk getting up to the door of the Audi.
He said, hey, I made it this far. I'm going to give it what I got. And look at this. I mean, this is where the power is really going to stretch out. And Andre just puts it right in 3, right where he has to. But Faulk, you know, kind of reins him in at the end there. That was impressive.
I got to give Andrew some credit there, man. He was outgunned, and he hit us all cheering in the booth here. And a little bit of a bobble in outer 2 there, but he saved it and sucked right back up on Andre. So let's see what he could do in the lead.
Yeah, and I mean, Andrew there showing a little bit of wisdom beyond his years as a driver, or maybe just complete blind ambition. But, man, he did it. He got in there. You can see there on the replay getting right up to the door of that Audi. A little bit of left foot brake just to get the car to settle here. Andre putting down a heater of a lead, and you can see Andrew just gets choked up a little tiny bit there coming out of outer zone number 2 and not really able to make up that gap. But, man, not really letting them stretch it out too far either. So, you know, really, really good effort there from Andrew Faulk. And this is going to be interesting because, like you said, I mean, Andrew is well outgunned here in the car, and it's going to be a little bit difficult for Andre in the chase to you know, not freight train him, stay behind him, and run a good chase.
Yeah, whatever happens tonight, Andrew should be proud of himself. He doesn't have much competition experience, and he is deep into rounds with the big dogs right now.
Yep, and you can see that initiation there from Faulk. He is 1 tire in that zone, so good initiation there. And Andre getting to the side of that E36, and, man, you have to know Andrew can hear that VR6 screaming outside the window of that E36 as they come through the middle. Andrew Faulk, I mean, keeping his composure, running a really, really nice lead line and giving, you know, Andre the chance there to put down an absolutely heater of a chase. And, I mean, however this unfolds, I mean, good on both of these guys. But, Andrew, man, way to show exactly what you're worth here.
Yeah, Andrew in outer 2 there was a little outside on the start. He found his way to the zone, and he hit that inner clip perfect. Kind of missed the outer there. I think his lead was – it was awesome, but it was a little weak compared to Andre's. But tell you what, he's got no reason to be ashamed of himself. He's putting an absolute show on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how this plays out, Andrew Faulk, people's champion in my mind for the night. I mean, that is a heck of a showing there from being in what is essentially like maybe a 300 horsepower BMW against what is I know to be like a 700 horsepower Audi.
And that just goes to show, too, like Andrew's driving ability. And you give that kid some horsepower, and you can see what he can do. I mean, he just held him to an honest battle. And we see Andre getting the win there, but Andrew's got nothing to be ashamed of. He should hold his head high. I mean, that was absolutely beautiful for what that car is against what that Audi is. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, and Andre Musienko seeing himself in a very similar situation to last night, making all the way to the finals. So eager to see how this pans out for him. Andrew gonna smoke him off here to finish off his night, put on a show for the people. You can see there on the drone shot the smoke line coming out of the back of the BMW. And we are going to take a short commercial break here from the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, brought to you by Pro Waste Services, Distinct Drift, Formula Drift. Everybody involved. Can't thank the sponsors enough for everything they've put on. And we'll take a short commercial break, let Andre get his car back down to a reasonable temperature, and we'll send him back out.
Link ECU, let's get it. We got got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20 Blink Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine, and then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an FA24 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's a stock K24 or it's a 1,000 wheel 2J. Link ECU all day.
So you can see here we got the bracket up on the screen, and you can see we've got Troy Manners and Andre Musienko, thank you, getting lined up here to figure this all out. You know, we're going to have our podium filled out after this one, and this will be a good battle.
So you can see there on the screen, Andrew Shorkey going to take home the third, Andrew Faulk going to take home the fourth, and that is defined by points. So we will have our final battle here, Troy Manners and Andre Musienko. This is going to be one, I'm sure of it. You know, and while we wait here, just want to take a minute to give a huge shout out to all the sponsors here for the Great Lake Pro-Am Series and, you know, just the track overall. Obviously, I've been saying Pro Waste Services all night long. They are a big sponsor of the track. And, you know, we also have, you know, this whole list down here on the wall. You can see Summit and Pro Waste and Hallman and, you know, Marquette's down there as well. Rocket 105, you can see the banners, and there's obviously the Lake Erie Speedway banner got to represent, and Afton and Safford. Give you guys a quick rundown here of the Pro-Am Series just to finish it off. This is round 2. Round 1 was yesterday. July 12th going to be round 3. Round 4 going to be on September 20th. And I mean, as far as, you know, drifting competitively in a Pro-Am Series go, the money on the line here is definitely worth the opportunity to come out with first place going home with $5K, second place $2,500, third place $1,250, fourth place $7, fifth place $350, sixth, seventh, and eighth sharing that $350 amount, ninth and 10th going home with a $125. ECU Master is coming on board this year to give a discount to all the drivers in the top 10 for 10% off of anything they want, ECU Master wise. Additional product credit going to go to first, second, and third at the year end of $500, $200, and $100. So, you know, if you're thinking about maybe competing, but you know you don't really have the management system that you want or that you think you need, ECU Master going to help you out. As for the series as a whole, we have a points fund that's going to run through all 4 rounds, and inevitably the winner of the points fund going to go home with $2,500. They're also going to be awarded their Formula Drift Pro Spec license, a Link Pro Spec ECU, which is mandated by Pro Spec. You have to run a Link ECU, so that's a big help there for those guys not to buy engine management, and a Velocita driver's suit. which is yet another safety thing that is mandated. And although we do it as well, the suits do go out of date. So if you do win this, you get to cash that in. You get a brand new suit. You're on for another 5-10 years, whatever it is. And second place is going to get $1,250, third $750, fourth and fifth going to go home with $500. And just can't say it enough. How thankful we all are to be able to be here and be able to be at this event and have all these sponsors. Distinct Drift coming on board this year was super cool. They supply tires to a lot of the guys out here, and they also supplied the money for the Umbrella Girls to be out there as well and give these guys some shade there while we're doing the opening ceremony. So big thank you to everybody for coming out. Big thank you to everybody watching as we get this final battle underway. And man, it's going to be one for the ages here.
And we talked about it earlier during the seating bracket, but just want to give a quick little plug. We were going to have our streetcar series will be going on during our next round of Pro-Am, which is in July. So info will be going up for that shortly. Applications, well put together, full interior street drift cars. If you want to come out, compete, do a cruise with a bunch of like-minded drivers, and do a little jam session Friday night or Saturday night with the Pro-Am guys. Make sure to look out for that. That application will be going up on the Drift Pony Facebook page this week.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that streetcar comp. It is a blast. It is such a good time, and the street cruise is just a blast. You got 25 cars rolling down the road, all just cruising. It's a blast.
Yeah, but you can see their drivers are lined up. We're just waiting for the go-ahead to send cars here. Mr. Reichert going to turn around, get the thumbs up from both drivers before he sets the lights on as they go off. Andre Musienko going to be leading the way here for Troy Manners as they come down this initiation straight. Andre with a big weight transfer getting right out to the wall, filling all of outer zone 1. Troy giving him no space to breathe there. Now as they come through outer zone 2, Troy closing the gap just a little bit, but maybe maintaining a couple of wheel lengths there between the two cars. And Andre's not going to leave it on the table here as they come through the final outside zone. Troy just nudging the side of that Audi all the way through that final zone. You can hear the guys up here in the booth clapping. What a way to start the final battle of the night here.
That was great on both drivers. It just Troy doing exactly what he had to do, run it hard, run it tight, and now I'd imagine Andre's just gonna have to glue it to his door this whole chase. He really doesn't have the room to sit back and just do a good clean chase. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to dive in. He's got to time those transitions just right and just be aggressive.
Yeah, in this situation, the spotter, just mute the mic, man. Just mute the mic. He knows what he's got to do. You only have one option. It's the final battle of the night. Freaking go, dude.
Yeah, they both put heaters down. You got to turn up to 110 no matter what.
All right, we're going to see Troy here in the lead, Andre in the chase. Andre initiating right on the door of Troy Manners to get through that first outside zone now. He sneaks through that center section there to get back to the door. And very, very similar gaps here coming through outside zone number 2 as they come now through that inner clip. Troy Manners pulling out a bit of a gap. Andre maybe getting lost in the smoke there as he has to big clutch kick there, try and make up some ground there through transition.
Yeah, the proximity through outer 1 and 2 was very similar between the both of them on the lead and the chase, but Andre was real shallow on his angle through outer 2 there, where Troy was matching the angle well, and a little bobble into outer 3 there from Andre. Not sure what happened, but the rest is up to the judges.
Yeah, you can see here on the replay, the transition by Andre to get into outer 2 was absolutely phenomenal. He gets right up to the side and falls back a little bit. And you can see that clutch kick as the fire coming out of the back of that Audi to make up some ground there. And, like Matt said, a little bit shallow there, maybe trying to maybe not get outran a little bit, which is kind of a crazy thing to say the way that Audi's been running all weekend. But, man, I can't state it enough. Troy's car is extremely fast.
Yeah, and coming in outer clip there, or inner clip, sorry, like you said, Zach, it almost looks like Andre got lost in the smoke. You see in the live stream there, his whole car disappeared. So that might have been, might have led to the bobble there in the last outer zone.
Yeah, it doesn't really come through too good on the drone footage, but these guys have been sitting here for now like a solid 15 seconds, and the track still have smoke rolling off of it. So, it's a crazy thing here between these two guys. Both of these cars are fast, and they're both very, very gripped up. So,
I'll tell you what, Zach, like those two guys sitting there right now, it is the most stressful experience. There is a lot of money on the line, and they're not going to find out who wins till they pull up to the arch. So Spencer's going to either tell them, pull up to the arch or you're going one more. So we'll see what happens. But, man, I'm sure their guts are churning right now waiting for an answer.
As you can see here, the judge is asking for a side-by-side, just because of how hard it is to really dissect and find a winner and a loser here right now. And you can look at, Manners all the way through outer two, and same with Andre. And it looked like Manners nailed that inner clip, but, in the chase, Andre was way offline coming into outer three, so I'm sure that's going to be a heavy deduction.
Yeah, in my opinion, Manners matched angle a bit better on the chase there, and that might be, that's an advantage to him, but that bobble into the last outer zone from Andre, I think, is going to be hard to overcome.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there. Like you said earlier, it looks like he just got lost in the smoke and didn't know exactly where he was on track, and when he came out was just way offline.
And I'm getting a secondary screen here watching this replay, and it looks like coming out of outer zone 2, Troy kind of kept the car a little bit wider and kind of hung that zone out. So I'm not really sure if maybe that played into Andre's kind of strange transition there, just kind of sitting and waiting for, Troy to make his move there. And that is kind of a weird situation. You know where the zones are. You kind of already know where the transition is going to happen because you're going a similar speed and you've been doing this all day. So it gets kind of weird, when a guy kind of hangs the zone out. You don't really know if something's gone wrong and he's now, maybe even over-rotating in front of you. And there's so much smoke coming into the car that at that point, I hate to say it's a guess, but, man, it's a lot of faith to just kind of hang it in there and pray.
Oh, yeah. And you're analyzing everything at such a high rate in these cars. You're at full lock as fast as the car will go sideways, and you're having to read what the other car is doing, read what your car is doing. Your brain is trying to process all that in. So, it's like you said, if they do something wonky in front of you, you then have to kind of recalculate and readjust and try and figure out what you need to do as a chase driver, because you can't just transition when you should if the lead driver hasn't transitioned, because then you're way offline.
And here's the thing with drifting, you don't have the time to make that mistake or adjustment. Other forms of motorsports, you have minutes or 100 laps to make up for a slight mistake. You make a slight mistake in drifting, and that's the end of your night. You got to be perfect.
Yeah, this is really one of those sports that, whether you're in a slow car, fast car, everybody up here commentating right now has driven, pretty fast cars in the grand scheme of things when it all comes down to it. And I always say it never does it justice, especially if you're on a static camera and you're watching drifting from the outside. It always looks slower. But, man, when you're in the car and you're actually in the heat of it, it's hundredths of a second can make or break an entire run, even if it's just for fun. You're out there trying to, bump doors with your buddies and, put a little bit of rubber here and some paint max in there. And then next thing you know, somebody spins. And, oh, boy, in that moment you have thousands.
Yeah, and as a chase driver, you're watching that lead guy so closely. You see it's hard to see from up in the booth up here as the judges. You might see that guy's lead wheel bobble a little bit, and it throws you off, man. Everything happens so fast behind the wheel, and sometimes it's just a reaction. You don't even have time to think about it.
All right, and getting confirmation from the guys up here in the booth, we have selected a winner, so we will send the guys over underneath the arch and give the closing ceremonies and dub somebody champion of round 2. All right, and you can see here on the drone, all three drivers down there staged up, ready for closing announcements here as we crown a winner here on round 2. Coming in third place, coming all the way from Canada, Andrew Shorkey, sponsored by FabMac Industries, one of the Misfits drivers, one of the guys that comes out to all the events here. Can't say enough good things about him. Congratulations to him on that third place. Absolutely phenomenal driving out there, Andrew. Congratulations, buddy. All right, and then we have here our final battle between Troy Manners and Andrei Musienko. The decision is in. Your winner of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Round 2, brought to you by Pro Way Services, in the Audi, Andrei Musienko. And in second place, obviously, your reigning champion taken down tonight, Troy Manners. Congratulations on your second place finish here tonight. A little bit of clarification just in case anyone wants to know about it. Coming out of outer zone number 2, the judges said Troy Manners' line a little bit wide, caused a little bit of a mistake there from Andrei Musienko, inevitably putting the final nail in the coffin there. Andrei Musienko, once again, congratulations on your victory here tonight. Troy Manners coming in second, Andrew Shorkey coming in third. All right, as you can see the back of the cars there, once we get pictures done, probably going to be some celebratory burnouts there as the boys head back to the pits. Thank you all once again for tuning into Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, Formula Drift, coming on board for this. Lake Erie Speedway, sponsored by Pro Way Services, Summit Racing, Hallman, Marquette, Rocket, everybody involved. Thank you once again. Distinct Drift. You can see the Umbrella Girls down there. Thank you all for tuning in for round 2. Signing out.